Hey guys, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. I am so happy, excited, ecstatic to be back for another Late Nights with Santana. I hope everyone's having a wonderful evening. I hope everyone, what up, E? That's wild that like as soon as you turn on the camera, like the butterfly was there.
Yes. Thank you. Whoever said that, thank you.
It was perfect timing. It's
Yes.
absolutely perfect timing. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. So tonight is night 2 of our Fragile Men versus Everybody All-Star panel, where we will have multiple people, my friends, different content creators coming through to help guide this conversation, and we will get into the conversation around toxic masculinity and also fragile men. And when having these conversations, there's a couple of different things that we want to really dive into. We want to talk about men and emotions. We really, really, really want to understand. Oh, sorry, let me get back here. We really want to understand when we talk about men and their emotions, we want to understand why are men more likely to have an emotional response when it comes to information that they disagree with, right? We want to talk about toxic politics and fragile society. What does that mean? We're going to talk about how toxic masculinity and male fragility impacts society and politics as a whole today in the United States. We're going to also talk about what's listed as intersectional collateral damage. That is the impact that toxic masculinity and male fragility has on different intersectional groups. And last but not least, we're going to talk about helping hands. And helping hands speaks to how do we address those who need help and how should we engage with those people. Now, there's a lot of different things that we can and will get into, but the point that I want to make sure that we get across is that I need to hear from you. I need to hear from you. So if you are interested in joining this conversation, go ahead and request up. If you're interested in joining this conversation, go ahead and get in the box. Again, I have special guests who will be joining throughout the night, and I'm going to go ahead and get them in here as far as my special. And like I see a couple of them hanging around here. I don't know why they haven't gotten the box yet. Go ahead and get in the box. But if you like to actually join the conversation, go ahead and request up. I will be rotating people in and out of the conversation throughout the night. And with that being said, we will make sure that we have the ability to actually speak to those people. Now, before I start bringing people up, one thing that I do want to call out is that we're doing this for a great cause, right?
Yes, we are. Yep, most definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely are. Guys, so not only are we going to dig into the actual education behind what we're actually doing, but we're doing it for a great cause. Boom. Made that. Look at what I did.
Oh, that is pretty.
Look at what I did.
Good job, Santana.
So, guys, we are raising money for two different causes. The first cause is men's mental health, and we are donating to Movember, which their focus is it's time to speak up. There's more information listed here about Movember, but they are focused on being able to provide support for men's mental health for multiple aspects. But then we're also doing a fundraiser for RAIN, which RAIN is for survivors of DV. RAIN is RAIN leads in the fight against SV. I'll just say it like that. But they've been engaging with people and actually have helped over 5 million people since 1994. All right. So that's who we're actually doing it for. Now, I do want to call out that as of night one, we were able to raise $551 as of night one. And moving forward, we're going to, again, all the actual donations that are taken up via the pay links. That's the important part. Via the pay links, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Santana Speaks for You, Santana Speaks for You. All the funds that we raise via the pay links will be donated directly to one of those two causes. Now, also something that we want to make sure that we're calling out throughout the entire night. it's that we want to make sure we provide support for those people that are in crisis. So if you are in crisis and you need support, you can always dial 988. If you're a veteran, you can select option 1. That will get you specific help for if you're someone that needs support as far as DV. There's National DV hotline that is available 24/7. You can call 1-800-799-7233. Project Rain has a chat function. And then also, we can't forget about people within the queer community. If you need support, there is the Trevor Project. You can go to their site, and their Get Help page has multiple ways that you can actually get in contact with them. So these are things that myself and Erica, what up, E? My co-host for this entire conversation will be flashing throughout the night, and we will continue to bring that to everyone's attention. So again, if anyone would like to support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links and link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks for You is the best way to support these causes. Everything is accepted. Anything's appreciated. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start bringing people up. And as we get people in, please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. And then we will go ahead and get started. First and foremost, hey, Athena.
Athena, hi.
Hey y'all, how y'all been?
Wonderful. So guys, we have Athena here, who is one of my special guests. Athena will be joining us for this conversation, and she will help guide the overall conversation around, fragile men. We're going to talk about it. But again, I'm going to go ahead and bring in more people, and there we go. Listen. There we go. Hey, Ashley. I was about to say, I don't think Ashley. She was ready just yet. Nah,
you got too excited. Calm down, bro.
Listen, like she popped up in the box. I hit the okay, and then it happens.
You scared her away.
Did I?
You scared her away. Yeah.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
This is gonna be a lot of fun.
Literally.
What I want to say though, definitely W's in the chat for Alaskan Furry, who sent a $10 donation. I'm really sorry to hear that. Really sorry to hear that. But thank you so much for that $10 donation. You are absolutely far too kind. I'm hoping for the best, but we got your back. All right, let's try this again.
Yes.
Furry.
Hey, sorry.
How are you?
Look, I'm good. I just switched from iPhone to Android, so the struggle is real.
That's the problem right there.
Okay, but wait. It's not that bad.
It's
just
not.
Saying.
It's not.
It is.
It's not. As someone who is an iPhone user and someone who has constantly used Android his entire life, Apple, iPhone, it's a cult. Someone who talks to people that are in cults all the time, it's a cult.
Look, Erica, he's got a point.
He's literally using iPhones. All he uses is Apple. Y'all let him fool y'all every day. Y'all let him fool y'all every single day.
No. I just said, like, literally, I said someone who uses it, but who's used Android devices his entire life. Like, I mean, it's nothing special.
Not you throwing stones, though.
Listen.
Exactly. While in a glass house.
Part.
First and foremost, I mean, this is not my decision. I was forced into this. Like, I still support Android over iPhones all the way. So there's that.
Okay, no sane person has ever said before. But also
better processor, better cameras, faster speeds, more functionality. Like literally.
This is him just trying to convince himself of his decisions. But anyways, yeah. But also when we talk about Apple, let's buy Apple products secondhand. By the way, just wanted to say that.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Secondhand because of all the harm that they cause.
Exactly. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start getting additional people in here, and as we bring people in, please mute yourself. Please please mute yourself, and we will go ahead and get into the conversations. And again, guys, I want to make sure that while we are having these conversations, everyone gets an opportunity to chime in, and we are going to rotate people in and out as quickly as possible. I know there's certain people who wanted to be able to join last night that did not get to join, and like I said, we'll have different special guests that are special guests that are rotating in and out throughout the night, and we will go from there. But really quick, let's do a quick introduction. Let's go around the horn really quick. First and foremost, we have Erica Shante, which everyone knows, who is my co-host for this conversation. E, what are you most excited about? I know we started talking yesterday, but what are you most excited about to get into this evening?
How fragile masculinity shows itself in politics.
I know you said that. And so we're gonna get to it. Perfect.
I really want to talk about it.
Okay, give me a second. Kobe. So I know you had an opportunity to watch before, and we have multiple things to pick from on the background. What is the thing that's catching your eye that you're looking forward to speaking on tonight?
Yeah, so I couldn't make it to yesterday's live because I was going in and out of the live, so I didn't watch the full conversation. But when I'm looking at the screen, intersectional collateral damage.
Listen,
that one sounds really intriguing. I'm not gonna lie.
Listen, there's so much to that. Okay, perfect. Give me a second here, Ashley. We have a buffet, or buffet of topics that we can get into and directions we want to go. Is there anything that's catching your eye on the background that you specifically want to talk about when it comes to toxic masculinity and male fragility?
Well, I think it's actually a couple things for me. The men and emotions, and then toxic politics. Like Erica, I'm itching, especially after what we saw today. I am itching.
Today was something else. Yes. Absolutely. All right. Perfect. Now, we have a couple of people that are joining the conversation as well. So Noah, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Noah, I know you were here yesterday and we didn't get an opportunity to get you up here, but I'm glad that you're here now. Noah, what are you looking forward to speaking on this evening?
In terms of like what you have listed, like the emotion thing and the helping hands, I'm interested in, but I just think about gender all the time. So I was excited to speak on here. I appreciate you having me.
Okay. All right. Listen. I think, and you kind of stole my thunder on that, but I think that like helping hands is the thing that I'm most excited about speaking to as well, because it's something that we didn't really get to go deep into last night, but it's all centering around support, right? It's about the different resources and different ways that we address those things. So absolutely, we are 100% going to get into that. I'm excited about that as well. James and the Giant Peach, how are you?
I'm good. I'm better than I deserve.
I understand that. James, what are you most excited about engaging in the conversation about this evening?
Well, I'll tell you, it says fragile men versus everybody. So I guess I'm looking forward to see if all men are fragile or what's going on with that. We got a fragile men versus everybody. So are we all fragile or what's going on?
Yes. But we'll keep it going. We will get into that. The one thing, like, I don't know if you saw my introduction video, but it starts with one of my favorite sayings: the most fragile thing on earth is the male ego. But we will get into that. Give me a second here, James. Hey, Buzzy.
Hi, Buzzy.
Hi, Santana. Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Wonderful. Buzzy, with all the things on the background and all the possibilities that we can go with all of these different items, what are you most excited about speaking on this evening?
I think I'm going to have to echo what Ashley said. After a lot of the things that have occurred today, I'm interested in the toxic politics in a fragile society, and also men and their emotions, because, well, intertwined with what happened today, it seems to be rooted in a lot of emotional stuff happening from fragile male egos. And so I'm interested in, like, I guess my question for that is kind of like, Are men in touch with their emotions, or do they only tap into the ones that make them feel powerful?
Yeah. You know, there's a couple. You know what? Never mind. I'm not gonna do it because I don't want to give it away. Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Buzzy. I think that, like, no lie, we literally have some amazing topics, and it's going to be a great conversation. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. And like I said, I'll continue to cycle people in and out and get as many people into the conversation as possible. Before we get started, one thing that I do want to call out, and I felt like I was a little bit remiss as far as being able to call this out last night. And I think it's super important that we actually call this out, right? Just for the people on the panel, right? On the panel and in the chat. Here on Late Nights, we don't deal with any of the isms. Racism, sexism, classism. We also don't do any of the phobias, homophobia, transphobia, none of that. We don't play that on the panel nor in the chat. Now, what that means specifically, right? Because I know there's a lot of people that cycle in and out. They might not necessarily be members of our community. They may be here to see some of their favorite creators. They may be, just swinging by or whatever the case may be. But the thing that I want to call out, and I will continue to call this out, not only throughout the night, but, as always, is that if you're engaging in harmful behavior, no matter if you're engaging in harmful behavior on the panel or in the comments, you got to go. And if you won't leave on your own, you will be shown the door with the block. Like, I don't care who you are. If you are someone that is harassing people in the chat, being harmful, negative, things like that, any type of person, and I'm sorry, I don't care who you are, but if you are being actively harmful to people on the panel, people within our community, we're not going to play those games. This is your only warning. Mods, you know what to do. All right. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and open it up. And so I want to kind of give you the floor because you know what? I'm going to play your game. It seems like everyone kind of wants to go in the direction that you're setting the stage for. So I would love to hear your first thoughts on the actual toxic politics and fragile society. Set the stage as of today. And then if we could pass it to Athena and Ashley, and we'll continue to move it around.
All right, wonderful. Okay, so yeah, I definitely want to dive into how it shows itself, how it permeates into our politics. Kind of like what Ashley said especially about what we saw today. The best way to put it is that our ideology shapes basically what we, of course, believe, and so then in turn shapes how we act, because we typically do act off of what we value and what we believe. And we see that this form of aggressiveness that they're having lately these days, showing like as aggressive being the top characteristic of a man, being all throughout our political spaces, especially on a certain side of the aisle, unfortunately. And we kind of saw that today with Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, saying that they wanted to relax their regulations and rules on hazing. They are making it harder for people to actually file complaints for abuse, harassment, and that does also include SA. So my question would be is, how do we go about having the conversations, Covey? Because you're younger, Covey. I know you're in your 20s. How do you go about having the conversations with your peers about these matters? Like, how do you approach them?
You mean when it comes to what you just mentioned with regards to
toxic, like basically male fragility within the political realm?
I think it's like a very difficult conversation to have. Usually, I think I do get a lot of pushback. I think the strategy that I use is I try to face it head on, in that a lot of these belief systems or talking points that people might think are radical, I just face it head on, because I feel like the reason as to why the far right are able to gain so much momentum is because they keep repeating radical phrases to the point where they get normalized. And that is the approach that I try to take. I try to keep repeating radical phrases. And when I say radical, I don't personally think they're radical, but other people who might be normal, like who might be used to the status quo, might think they're radical. But the thing is, what I've noticed is the more I keep repeating them, the more I keep talking about them, steadfast in my beliefs, I've noticed that they start slowly normalizing these beliefs as well. And then people are more prone to opening up and saying, wait a damn minute, maybe she does have a point. Maybe let me sit down and hear her out. Let me listen to her. And the thing is, it's so insane. There have been some moments where I've had conversations with people where they would call me like a B word, and they would tell me that I'm just so an extremist. And then a month later, they would send me a message and tell me, you know what, I'm actually sorry. I'm sorry that I approached you in that manner. You do have a point. So, long story short, that is the approach that I take.
That's actually extremely smart, I think, of you to use their tactics kind of like in the reverse for a more positive outcome. Repeating the basically our ideology, in order to get them to understand that, hey, maybe you're not making the right decision. So I definitely appreciate that, Covey. And like Ashley, listening to what Covey said in using their tactics, what approach do you take? Do you find yourself to be along the same lines, or do you take a different approach? And I know for you, you're not typically in like the online spaces, but how do you do it outside of, like off the app, if we will?
Sure. So I do agree with what Cubby said. I will take that approach in some circumstances, but I think the thing that I've learned in my 30 some odd years on this earth is it's important to listen more than we speak. So in combating that sort of fragile male ego that we're speaking of, I think it's important to hear him out, and then kind of go from there. I take mental notes when people are talking, and what I'll do is I'll rebut if necessary after they're done talking. So I respect their time. I respect whatever it is that they're saying. Let them know that I am listening. But I think that's the biggest thing, is listening and then coming back with different points of view that they may be
Okay.
able to find useful or
Okay. All right. Awesome. And so I would like when we encounter the fragility, especially like Covey mentioned the name calling. And I like your I like both of your approaches, because both have proven to be effective. I've actually used them both. I do find the more so listen, and like kind of hear them out approach, does work better for me. And then rebutting with like a different POV, or even coming to them with facts, but just so listening and hearing them out, because we were talking about this yesterday. The majority of them are just suffering from the male loneliness epidemic. They don't have anyone to talk to. So they're kind of using us as their therapist for free. And so how do we, especially we see it in the political space, that they tout this idea of masculinity, that it is aggressive, it's unapologetic, it believes in traditional gender roles. It's all of these things that we would think of as not good. And how do we basically, I'm trying to figure out, how do we combat it? How do we combat it? We can say, we can use their tactics against them. We can listen, but like Covey, or actually, I think I want to hear Santana. I want to hear from Buzzy on this one.
Well, yeah, definitely I want to hear from Buzzy, but I do want to introduce one of the other new people that just came from that just joined the panel, which is another one of our special invited guests. So really quick, Hector, how are you?
Need a minute.
Awesome.
I think he might be doing his bad job.
All right, no worries. All right, Buzzy, the floor is yours.
Hector, Erica is saying that you're DEI. Don't let her talk to you like that, friend. If I were you, I wouldn't let that slide. So
No.
no. So honestly, I think my approach is probably a little bit different because I always say that I have curiosities. I'm quick to say that I have curiosities, but I'm also, on the other hand, quick to say that if you take it to conspiracy, I'm taking it to hell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because if you go to conspiracy, we're going to conspire together.
Okay, go on.
But I think for me, I think honesty and curiosity go hand in hand. So I'm going to ask you directly what I want to know. I think my approach is to be as direct as possible. The problem with being as direct as possible and being calm is that people see that as condescension because people are not used to it.
Ooh, that part.
Like people don't take straightforward communication very well. People don't take calm, straightforward communication even worse. And that ties into what Erica was saying about what we saw today with Hegseth. Everything he said today, he could have done without the pauses, waiting for cheering and the oohs and the ahs. He could have just came out and said, "I'm changing this policy, and this policy,
Exactly.
and here is why." But no, he spoke for dramatic effect, thinking that he was going to get a pat on the back for allowing people to do what they wish. He was speaking from a position of power or a position of presumed power, and he was jarred when he didn't get the audience reaction that he thought he would. He was seeking approval. And that's kind of the thing in these conversations. When you are asking questions or trying to gain understanding, you're not looking for approval, you're just looking for honesty. And people are not used to that. Like someone in the comment just said, Mike said that it could have been an email. Absolutely. The press conference we saw of this egotistical match that our country seems to be having with other countries that are not even paying attention to us.
Buzzy, I was just about to say that it literally could have been an email, but again, the male ego is so fragile, and it really, really wanted to put on a show today, and that's what we saw, and that's what we see a lot in the political space these days. It's again, especially from a certain side. I'm trying to keep this as nonpartisan as possible on my end. But if given the leeway to say it, I will say it, Santana. All right.
Yeah. No, listen.
Right.
So let's call it what it is, right? And we have seen that, and I think that it's something that's perpetuated itself in politics as far as the right in wanting to stand on being quote unquote alpha males, right? And more so saying that like, hey, you have to be this way, you have to be loud and strong and bold, or and try to categorize these actual characteristics and deem them to be alpha male characteristics, instead of it being, in my opinion, someone displaying the inability to emotionally regulate themselves. So there is a bit to that. You know what, really quick, James, I want to come to you for half a second. James, you started the conversation as far as trying to make a determination whether all men are fragile, if it's some men. James, what are your thoughts? What was your thoughts behind that actual introduction? But also, where do you stand on the conversation as far as like male fragility and male toxic masculinity?
Well, I'll tell you this. I have 3 daughters that just were married within the last 6 months, and they all came to me with their questions about whatever it was. So as far as being a father, I'm not fragile. As being a male, I'm not fragile. So I guess I don't understand what the fragility of men has to do. I mean, the thing with Hegseth today, you know, what did he say that was so, uh, toxic? And I guess somebody brought up about the phrases that are being, radicalized. What's being said by the right that's being, radicalized and brought up? I don't understand what the point is with, calling men fragile. I guess I don't understand that.
If
Okay.
I may, for the living example of what's happening right now, something that this person next to me can go look at for themselves and to see if they've seen that anywhere else.
Sure. And then I have something else that I want to add too, but go right ahead, Buzzy.
James, if you go to the HUD website, HUD is the portion of our government that speaks to public housing. If you go to the HUD website right now, there is an announcement with a bold red background that is making a statement. I would like you to read that statement that's on the HUD house. Now, mind you, majority of the people receiving assistance for housing from HUD live in rural areas. And majority of rural areas in the United States of America are Republican.
So you have proof for that? I mean, you can just say whatever you want.
No, I'm not telling. I'm telling you to go to the HUD website, our governmental website.
You know what, Buzzy? Don't
do
worry
it
about it. Don't worry.
No,
about
I'm
it.
not. I'm just saying.
Hold on. Give me
you
1
brought up
second.
something.
James, give me 1 second. Because listen, Buzzy is someone who definitely brings up great points, and I absolutely love the points that is being brought up. But
That's
even more
great.
so,
You can love it,
Hey,
but does he have anything to back it up? What you just said?
James,
yeah,
don't
give me a
overtalk the
second.
host.
Give me a
And I
second.
promise you, Santana, may I say something, please?
Yep.
Hey, this isn't a debate. This is a conversation that we're all having amongst each other and with each other. Okay. So I do ask that not just for me, because I will get overstimulated, but also for those in the chat that are listening and using auditory devices and closed captions, that we do not overtalk each other at any point. And I greatly appreciate it. James, is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's
okay. Great. Thank you.
Great
All
call
right.
out. Thank you, E. James, can you see what's on the screen?
Yeah, I can see it. So what's the point? Because the left is going to say that, and the right, including our president, are going to say that it's the left that they're willing to shut down the government. So who's right?
Sure.
Who's right?
Buzzy, would you like to explain to James, maybe in
Sure.
kid glove terms, why this is something that you brought up?
James, who has majority control in our congressional body right now?
The Republican.
So if the Republicans have the majority vote and they can't get all of the votes needed to pass this big, beautiful bill that they claim is going to help the American people, even though it's going to gut housing for American people and will gut healthcare for American people, how is the minority party of our government responsible for this shutdown we're about to enter?
So why do you talk about the minority? I don't understand why you keep bringing that up.
So in our congressional body, we have a majority leader and we have a minority leader.
I get that.
Our majority leader are the Republicans, meaning that they have the majority votes to pass the bills or policies that they see fit. They just need to find a way to come to an agreement with the minority party to get, I believe it's 6 more votes. And they're not willing to make any concessions. The session today opened up for them to talk about not going into government shutdown, to come to an agreement. And the Republicans did not show up to do their job today. So if the majority vote are with the Republicans in our congressional body, and again, Congress is the purse, This bill is completely on our congressional body to pass it. If the majority body are not showing up to do their jobs, to push this bill forward, to make some concessions to push this bill forward. And as a matter of fact, they said as much. Santana, can you put that back up, please? And as a matter of fact, they said as much. They said, the radical left are going to shut down the government and inflict massive pain on the American people unless they get their 1.5 trillion wish list of demands. So they're saying they're not willing to concede. They told you that they, the majority party, are responsible for this because they're not willing to come to an agreement in order to get the votes needed to get a bill passed that would keep us out of government shutdown. But you don't see that. You see pointing fingers. So we have a majority and minority party for that purpose. They've passed everything else. So why would this be the Democrats' fault?
Yeah. So I didn't say a Democrat's fault. So what's your solution? It doesn't matter how soft you talk. I didn't know who
Well,
talked.
so you know what?
Doesn't
Hold
matter
on.
how
Let's
soft you talk.
wait one. Let me hop in
So
here for a
what
second,
we-
James.
I can't say anything. That's
Wait, am I muted? Can you guys hear me?
We
Okay.
can hear you, Santana.
All right, cool. James, I want to bring this all the way back because this conversation is not about politics, right? I want to be very clear. This is not a political debate. This is not even a political discussion. Yes, we're talking about how this impacts politics, but this is about toxic masculinity and male fragility and how it presents itself in our society. Now, James, while talking about this, yes, we can use this as an example and we can discuss why this would be something that we would look at as toxic masculinity and male fragility, but we will not be going into, well, how do we solve the problem as far as left and right working together and things like that. That's not what we're here to do tonight. Again, we're staying on topic. Now, the thing that I want to specifically call out is that while not only, yes, there's a point to be made about the Republican Party holding power and all this other stuff. James, the one thing that I said at the very beginning of the live was men and their emotions, right? Like that's the top one. And for men and their emotions, I specifically said, why are men more likely to have an emotional response to information they disagree with, right? I said that, right? And with that being said, the panel has tried to kind of give you information around why they have the perspective that they have and what rhetoric is being used when it comes to toxic masculinity from the right. And it's been an emotional response from you as far as pushing back on everyone and being unwilling to actually engage in the premise as far as what we're talking about, but wanting to be combative. I think that's the best example that we can actually give.
and that's fine. You say it's not political, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. I don't know who Noah is, but you have 7 people versus 1, and you're saying it's not political, but yet you sit here and talk about men being fragile. We have 1, 2, 3 men on the panel, and you want to talk about me being fragile. So let's talk about that. Am I fragile because I care about
Yes, you're very
what's going on?
fragile because of
Why?
how you're responding right now. You're literally having an emotional response from being on a panel discussion. Again, this is not a you versus
How is
me.
that fragile?
This is not a you versus me in the sense of we are looking for opposition. There was no such thing as quote unquote opposition on this conversation. We're not looking for people to come up and debate. Again, that's why Erica said it before I could. She did an amazing job as far as calling it out. James, this is not a debate. If you're looking to debate someone, sorry, you found the wrong spot. This is a conversation and we're flushing out what that actually means and we're looking to get solutions. James, that's why I don't know if you paid attention when I was flashing the things on the screen, but I'm going to flash them on the screen again just because I need a moment to call it out. W's in the chat for Kim, who added $10 to the nightly donation. And also W's in the chat for Elizabeth, who added $8.88 to the nightly donation. Guys, for anyone that does not know, we are at the same time, while we're having this conversation, we are taking donations to the pay link: Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Santana Speaks for You, Santana Speaks for You. All donations sent to the pay links over these 3 nights will be donated to 2 different causes. The first cause is for men's mental health, and we're going to be donating to Movember. The second call is for survivors of DV, and we're going to be donating to RAIN. Last night, we were able to raise $551, and we are looking to continue to raise money tonight and tomorrow night. All donations will go towards those organizations. And also, we want to make sure that people that are in crisis have the resources that they need to actually be able to get help. So if you are in crisis, you can always dial 988. If you're a veteran, you can select option 1. You can get help there. If you are someone that needs support because of DV, the National DV Hotline is available 24/7. You can call 1-800-799-7233. The RAIN organization has a chat function that you can actually utilize. And then also the Trevor Project for people within the queer community. If you need support, you can go to the Trevor Project, and they have multiple ways to get in contact. So, James, the reason why I took a moment to throw out that commercial break and also speak to those things, here, boom, and go, boom. Speak to those things is because this isn't about debating you, James. I'm sorry. No one here is here to debate you. If you're looking for that type of conflict, you're in the wrong spot. This is all about helping each other, helping the community, and helping people be better, specifically men. So if you're not looking for that help, if you're not looking for that help, James, if you don't want to actually be a part of the not only conversation to help, but also be a part of something that's productive, then James, unfortunately, you can go ahead and go.
So, Santana, what community are you trying to help? I mean, men? What are you trying to do here? I don't understand.
So if
Am I fragile? You could tell me.
Yes, you're very fragile. Yes, you're very fragile because of what you're doing right now. But again, Erica's getting ready to speak, so please stop.
So, hi, James. To answer your question in regards to who it is that we're trying to help, yes, we are trying to help men like you, and we're also trying to help young boys. And by that, when I say young boys, young men, by their parents listening in tonight, they'll be provided with resources, ideas, examples on how to approach the conversations, on what to actually talk about with them. So we're trying to help everyone. We're trying to help everyone here. Okay. So that's really what we're trying to do, James. I promise. And if you, James, if you could take a moment, please, all right, and open open your mind, your heart, and also your ears to receive the information. Like, let your guard down for just a moment.
If I may clip 2 birds with 1 stone, and then I'm going to get out of here so I can go to bed for my 4 a.m. run. So, Erica, remember earlier, you and me were having that conversation, and we were talking about what was happening with Hexeth, and you asked us on the panel how to approach these conversations.
Yeah.
And I said, the thing with people is that they don't respond well to calmness and direct statements. Well, that was the example that we just saw in this conversation that I was having with James. He asked for an example. I presented him with the resources for one. I told him where he could go see it himself. That wasn't good enough. He said that I was just saying things. Santana then posted exactly what I told James so that everybody participating in this conversation and in the audience can see what was being said. James asked for more information. I gave him more information. I asked questions and I engaged. At no point did I insult James. At no point did I question his intellect. I just responded directly to everything that James said. In response to what I said, not only did James infantilize me, he then said, "It doesn't matter how soft you talk." Meanwhile, if James had taken 2 seconds to go to my profile, or really asked 3 of you or 4 of you on this panel, I always sound like this no matter what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter the conversation. This is just how I talk, right? That is the example of fragility. I did not give you any emotions. I didn't get mad at you for not knowing. I didn't question your ability to keep up with the conversation. I gave you exactly the information you were asking for. And getting that information upset you to the point that you tried to insult me or make a snide comment thinking that that was going to make me jump out of my character because you didn't like the information you were giving. Info became offensive to you because you either had not seen it, did not know about it, or did not understand it. You could have asked more questions. I would have given you more answers in the same way that I was giving you answers for the original things you
Exactly.
asked.
I totally
It
agree
might
with
be
you,
about
Buzzy. I totally agree with you, Buzzy. And I want to thank you so much for stopping by, love. I hope you have a great
Absolutely.
night and enjoy that run.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Of
That
course,
sounds
love.
horrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
Santana.
Hi, Buzzy.
Not
Oh,
not
Can-
now
not
they
James
both
running
leaving.
as well. Okay.
Now
Well,
they
If I
both
may,
leaving.
I just
Yes,
have just
Ashley.
a quick statement to make, just because I feel like he maybe didn't understand what male fragility is ahead of this conversation.
That's what I was trying to
Obviously,
get to.
I wanted the definition. So do you
Yes.
mind? I don't want to steal your thunder, Erica.
Oh, no, go ahead. You got it, love. You got
Okay,
it.
so I looked up the definition because I wanted to know exactly, what all we will be talking about. So it says the male fragility is the emotional defensiveness some men show when their privilege is questioned. It turns every conversation about inequality into a personal attack instead of a learning opportunity.
Mhm.
And I think we just saw that
Yes.
with James.
Yes, and that's where I wanted to go with him prior to the last comment, and that was because with these conversations, I would ask anyone who doesn't quite understand exactly what male fragility is, that you approach this conversation with an open mind, an open heart, and definitely open ears. You have to take a moment and listen to what is being said so that you can process it. And so you can let down your guard. I'm not going to call them defenses. I'm going to say so that you can let down your guard. So I do ask that everyone does that, and so that we can have productive conversation here.
yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I'm going to pass it back to Santana. Go ahead, friend.
Yeah, no. I think you just said it perfectly, E. And I again, I know I got on my soapbox for half an hour or whatever, but I apologize about that. But I really want to keep it going and build on this conversation because we have an opportunity to do something special here, and I don't want to waste the time, especially the special invited guests that we have. I want to make sure we hear from them, but I also want to make sure that we hear from people within the community as well. So I want to go to Noah really quick, and I want to hear what Noah has to add to the conversation, and especially speaking on men and their emotions. And then I want to do a quick introduction of Hector, of Solid, Kosher, and then we're going to hear from Max. And, we'll just keep it moving because I really want to make sure that people get an opportunity to speak. So, Noah, floor is yours. What do you think about men and their emotions? And, like, you even have a reference point that you can start from.
Yeah. So I'll try to be quick here because I don't want to take up too much space. But I think in terms of this crisis of like masculinity and emotional deregulation and all these things, I think it's inextricable from gender itself. And so I think in terms of like trying to rectify or address this, we really need to break down our own attachments to gender and ultimately relinquish it altogether. I'll say in specifically to men's like lack of emotional intelligence, will say like I think this emerges out of the way that the gender binary operates under heteronormativity, which is where you have these like asymmetric gender categories, men and women, that are both like fundamentally deficient in some ways, and so they necessitate their affiliation, right? And so you have this idea that men are like rational or like strong or intelligent or something, and then women are like emotional. And so a lot of the things, like Erica was talking about this tonight, and I think yesterday as well, and some other women on the panel were talking about how like they do a lot of like emotional labor for men, or like feel like they're conscripted into those roles. And that really emerges through gender itself. So that's where I'm at. So I just feel like we need a much more robust education apropos of gender. I don't think enough people understand gender as like a history and gender's genealogy, which I think is really important, because if you understand that gender is not some inevitable fact of the world, but it is something that emerges out of specific historical processes and has changed over space and time. And so I think that's important, because that lets me know that like it doesn't have to be like this. We don't need to have a bunch of fragile men out here.
Yeah. The one thing that I do kind of want to call out and speak to specifically, though, and I'll push back on just a little bit, with understanding like the entire construct, right? And speaking to anyone that is, male presenting, because it's interesting. You can have this conversation, and you can talk about how the fragility and the being toxic actually presents itself in transgender men as well, right? So there's a lot to be said around that. And I do think that, yes, we can talk about women, femme presenting people as well, but I think the focus has to be around the different responses that you see from, men as a whole, and how it seems, in my opinion, and what I want to come to Athena for half a second, and Athena, you tell me if I'm wrong. It seems to be that it's more of an issue with the men when it comes to being able to emotionally regulate, and not just in the sense of like social media, right? Not just the case of this actual application, but you can talk about the unalivement rate. You could talk about the high levels that men tend to abuse substances, and they engage in violence, and just all of those types of things that lends itself to having low EQ. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I fully agree with this, right? I do think that I do think that men are being often socialized to bury their emotions beneath a performance of toughness, right? That is, they're being taught that vulnerability is weakness and that the stoicism proves strength, right? So because masculinity and femininity is like a performance, right? So they have to kind of like, they have to go down the list and tick down all the points that would prove that they're masculine, right? So and the interesting thing is, right, that I don't want to steer away from this topic that far away, but in a way, it's men and Black women who are socialized to do this too, right? It's very interesting because we're kind of like all of us are being socialized to endure everything without any complaint, and it's not only a performance, but it also tells men as well, basically, that you have to do this in order to be deemed worthy of love and acceptance within society. Because if you are not performing this way, you are not worthy of being loved. You're worthless, basically. You're nothing, right? And so, of course, it's unhealthy. And now that I think about it, I'm wondering, to the point of intersectional collateral damage, does that mean that toxic masculinity itself casts this wide net of harm, in that it doesn't only harm men, but it's also harming, let's say, women and femmes through misogyny, harassment, domestic violence, all of these different things. And then also it's harming men because those men who do not conform to these rigid gender norms are often excluded, punished, mocked. You also have the fact that when we think about toxic masculinity, we live within like a white supremacist society in the West in general. I'm not talking about the US, I'm talking about the West in general. So then what does that mean for Black, Indigenous, and men of color? They have to also live or they might face these compounded stereotypes where they're not only being viewed through this patriarchal lens but also through this racial lens, where then they're deemed too aggressive or too weak or whatever it is, right? So it's just harmful for everybody. It's and every single time when I hear about all of these different isms, the one thing that I always think about is that acronym Thug Life from Tupac.
Mhm.
You know, the hate you give little infants fucks everyone. Ultimately, the
Damn,
hate
my
that
mom
they're-
is watching. She can't say the
I'm
F
so
word.
sorry. I'm so sorry. Fudges. Fudges, everyone. My bad. The hate you give little infants fudges everyone. And I feel like we don't realize that in order to uphold this racial or caste system or order, we're ultimately also destroying society from within.
That's actually a great point, Adina. I like when you mentioned that it seems that men are told that they have to perform a certain way, that they have to show this, be this pillar of strength, that it pretty much that they can't feel their emotions. And it's really all just, it's for show. It's not, the real deal. And so I want to go to Hector because I know Hector has been here a while. And then I'm gonna go to, was it Kosher or Max
Kosher.
that was here first?
Or Max.
Kosher?
Max was first, but
Yes,
I thought you were saying how you say when Kosher has bars. So
I
hopefully
would
he
never
can
ask
hear us where-
you how to pronounce someone's name.
Well, I was on point, so there's that.
You weren't. Okay. But Hector, like what does that look like for you? And how do you spot it in other men? And the reason why I asked that question is because we kind of do, emulate, and we are who we hang out with. Birds of a feather flock together. So what does that look like for you? How do you spot it in other men? And what do you do when you do see it in them, or even within yourself?
I think it appears in many different ways. I have been very aggressive when I speak about any man who refers to women as females.
Mm.
That is a big, big thing of mine. Often you hear rhetoric like that. If every other word, you often hear, the B word, BIT. And typically men who still subscribe to this structure of I'm here and then someone's here, the woman typically, or femme presenting people are here, or I guess of some of the more blatant ways, but I think it can also be in very light ways, particularly from people that you wouldn't expect it from, people on the left. I think we see it oftentimes, let's say on panels. I know I, for one, have to catch myself doing it sometimes, where you may have a woman on the panel and she's making a great point, but then you have something that you're itching to say and you just can't wait 2 seconds to get it out, to where you're constantly interrupting. Versus another man, I think we typically are kind of hardwired to treat men differently, respect other men on a different way that we are with women. And that's something that every man on this app, every creator has to check every single day.
Yeah.
And I think the response to that ultimately should be calling it out, shutting it down. And I think it should be open. I think it should be public.
Yes.
I do not agree with like pulling them to the side and stuff. I think that's good in a way. The work is still getting done, but I think it's very important that no one gets to hide behind a persona when we're talking about deconstruction. No one gets to hide behind, oh, well, I think this person's cool. They've never talked this way to me or anything like that. I think you need to say something right there and then if you can. And I think that journey can be, this is just, I guess, kind of my PSA when we're talking about toxic masculinity and deconstruction. I think men should expect your deconstruction journey to be very alienating from other men. I've learned in my experience that I typically do not enjoy the company of the average man because it's something where I have to then be on alert. I have to be on the fence. and I have to like check this person, this statement, this piece of content, and it's almost like I have to parent them through things, and that can be very frustrating. However, I think the payoff is ultimately the men who do stick around, the men who do see your character, the things that you're trying to do, and they appreciate that, they respect that, they're on the same journey as well. I think iron sharpens iron, so it makes you all the better for it. And personally, I just enjoy the company of women over men in general. So I think that's a beautiful thing. I've learned so much from women. I was raised by women. Everything that I am is because of women mostly. So trade-offs with it.
Hector, that was a really great response. I appreciate that, especially iron sharpens. Oh, okay.
It was an okay response.
Iron sharpens iron,
and then also
like mentioning that the deconstruction journey can be very lonely. You found it to be lonely from other men, and that you also are constantly, not constantly, but you do check other men when those problematic behaviors do present themselves. Because you are on your, you're on your journey also. So I want to shift to Max.
Wait. Before we do that, I want to take a sidebar because Hector said something that resonated with me, and it's something that that happened early when I started doing lives, and it's something that at times I still kind of struggle with, and I try to make sure that I am always aware of it, and I'm not the best all the time, but I fight at doing it all the time. And Hector said that being a man on this app and interacting with women in their spaces or other spaces, how we have a habit of speaking over or interrupting and all this other stuff. And my apologies, because I did that on purpose, because I want to throw it right at you, right? Specifically because I had to learn the hard way with you, right? Because when we were hosting late nights originally, I was not the best at doing that, right? And I had to learn over time. So I would love to hear like your perspective. I know you and I have kind of talked about it before, but I would love to hear your perspective, not only from the position of like you and I interacting and how that was, but also how that presents itself today. Because you now hold your own space, right? And even in your own space, other men do that to you, and you'll call it out, but then there's times where like you have to, what do you say, throw in your man voice in order for them to so I would love to hear about that.
So I don't know, sometimes I'm like, you know what, I particularly really don't like men talking over me. I really don't. So I will call it out, and anyone who knows me knows that I don't like to get loud. So I have to throw on the voice. If you know, you know. And I just I don't know. I can't. I'm trying to answer it, but sometimes, like when it comes to mutuals, I'm like a mom. I'm like, you know what? He excited. Just whatever. I don't care that much. Like I'm like that's how I am. I'm like a parent. I'm like, just let him do his thing. I do it with all of y'all because it's like, okay. But then sometimes I do have to be me mom and rein everybody in because, hey, listen, I'm trying to say something and I don't want to yell. So that's how it works for me. I'm not a yeller. I don't like yelling. So that's how I handle it. I'm either gonna throw on the dude voice with the soundboard, or I'm gonna just like be me mom with you all and tell you all to be quiet while I'm talking. I might say it in a different way, but Mama Jones is here tonight, and I don't want to use those words around her. And I think also my mom is watching, so there's that.
Yeah. I appreciate that, and I promise you I'm gonna give it back to you in just a second, so you can go to Max. But I also want to hear from Athena again, because again, Athena, you host your own space and you deal with these men as well, and a similar thing happens to you. What is your perspective on that, and like how do you deal with it?
How do I deal with it? So So, I might not be very professional and mature about it. How I deal with it is that when they go low, I just go to the basement and bring a shovel with me, right? And I try to usually, out petty them or rage bait them. And if they try to rage bait me, I try to outrage bait them. And for some reason, they stop and they continue listening when they realize that it's not going to work. So basically, what I basically do is I don't like people over talking me or interrupting me. And the strategy that I use is number one, I get kind of petty, but also number two, I repeat the sentence again and again and again, over and again. So I just start the sentence over and over and over again until they shut up. And that is because I don't necessarily just want to like mute them. I try not to mute them first. But I've noticed that if you continue repeating the sentence again and again, it's actually a tip that Ian, I don't know if y'all know Ian. Ian the debater, they do like God debates.
Yep.
That was a tip that they gave me. They told me that start the sentence over again and then they will listen to you. And I've noticed that ever since I started doing that, they do listen to me. And also, I don't get intimidated. I just continue speaking. Even if they're even if they're pissed off, even if they continue interrupting, even if they continue trying to overtalk, I just continue and make my point. I don't let anybody stop me because I'm very stubborn as well. I'm Eritrean after all. Listen, Eritreans, we're stubborn as hell, okay? It's literally in our DNA.
Yeah. Repeating the sentence is the way to go.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Oh, okay. One more quick detour, Ian. I promise you. Come right back to you.
You're
Ashley, I want to hear from you because you don't necessarily do lives. I saw you live the other day, but you don't necessarily do lives. But so much of your engagement occurs with the content that you post, and you have the ability to choose who you actually engage with or not. What do you do in those situations where there's like you're such an intelligent woman and you have it on display at all times, but I know for a fact there's these men that have to come into your comments and say, well, you're not right about this, or you don't know that, or whatever. What do you do with that?
The mansplaining. Yes, it happens quite often. Some of them I do give the time of day if they're not being rude, of course. But for the ones that are being rude, I just ignore it, to be completely honest. I don't feel the need to lend my energy to things that are draining like that, because the things that I post, the things that I research are already so heavy. I don't want to, get into all of that with somebody who's really not willing to listen and learn, or vice versa. They're just looking to be combative and be a naysayer. But for those who do come in the comment section and are respectful, I do engage in conversation with them. Sometimes we'll even take it to the DM, and I'll give them, the research that I've discovered, and vice versa. So I think for me, a lot of the problems that I do have, especially in my comment section, and I won't lie, is men. It's absolutely men, like hands down. But I will say that to keep the peace, either I ignore it. If they catch me on a bad day, I'm like, Covey, I'm going to hell. Like, because what you won't do. Like, you got to catch me on an off day, but some days, yeah, they do catch me, and I will take it there.
Oh, see, this is why women are better than men, because I'm petty at all times. I will literally argue in my own comments. I'm horrible about that. All right, thank you both. Back to you.
If someone could remind me. Oh wait, never mind. I've been taking notes. I've been doing great. I'm sorry. I got excited. My mom is here, so awesome.
I
Yay,
know.
hi,
I saw
Mom.
her when you said that. She said, "I am watching." I said, "I know that's right."
Yay, awesome. Okay, so we were talking about basically like a deconstruction. I don't want to go too deep into the deconstruction,
Right.
but it was the mansplaining is what they call it. I really want to hear from Solid, but I am gonna ask Max. Max, in your Max, if you will, are you familiar with what male fragility and toxic masculinity is?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. And also, Max, if you don't mind me asking, what are your pronouns?
He, him.
He, him. Okay. Awesome. All right. So, Max, like for you, how do you catch yourself? How do you catch yourself in those moments where those traits are starting to exhibit themselves when you're, let's say, when you're challenged by a woman, maybe in just simple conversation where they don't agree with your opinion or what it is that you're discussing? How do you stop yourself from being fragile?
I think the biggest thing I've worked on is I always try to come to things with an open mind. And then if I know it's going to be something, for example, that affects me or people that I care about, I try to like, for example, if it's like a conversation over text, or if I'm like in person with someone, I try to take a step back because I know with me, when it comes to people I really care about, I tend to get very emotional. And I need time to think about it on my own logically and actually plan out what I want to say and how I want to address it.
Makes sense to me. Okay, that makes sense. I appreciate that answer. Like, keep it cool. Like, take a step back, a moment to assess the situation, and then go from there. That makes sense to me. And Solid, hi.
Hi, Erica.
Hi. I almost did this when you came on. I was like, Solid. But yeah.
Erica,
Anywho,
I just wanted to say something very, very important.
sure.
Solid did tell me that he regularly likes to braid his armpit hair.
I
I
heard
heard
that
that too,
before.
Athena.
After
Yeah,
he use
I
his
did hear
armpit
that.
as like
Yeah.
a napkin after he has eaten his clam chowder ice cream with mayo on top. So
Yeah. I heard that he sings Over the Rainbow while doing it too.
That's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
It
thing.
is. It
But
is.
since Athena is putting my business out, did y'all know that she has 2 extra toes on the
Oh.
back of her neck,
Oh,
and
solid.
that they wiggle when Judge Judy comes on?
Solid.
Did you know that?
Sorry.
Solid on this panel. That sounds like misogyny tonight.
She let my secrets out.
Oh.
She let my secrets out. So
Y'all are a mess.
let her secrets out.
A mess. Solid. I have the same the same question for you. Like when you find yourself in those positions, whether it be when you're hosting in your space, or even if you're paneling, or even off this app, when you find that you're mansplaining or you're showing off those toxic traits, like how do you stop yourself?
I don't.
You don't? Go ahead.
No. So I just try to create conditions that are going to prevent that in the first place.
Okay. Wait. Go on.
So the academy is made up of entirely of women except for Jeff. So it's Solid and Jeff, and then Sean and Adorna and Kinsey and Swan. So what I try to do is I just set up like times and stuff like that, like so everybody has their allotted time to where they speak uninterrupted. Now the thing that I do find myself doing also is just kind of like needing to trust the panelists to just handle their own, like they're in the academy for a reason. I'm going to say it, they're the best debaters on that. So I just kind of go, well, they're capable and they can handle it. You know what I mean? That's it. I wanted to talk about real quick. I'm so sorry because I got a dip after this. I'm gonna go to bed.
That's
But
okay.
have y'all ever considered a labor component to fragile masculinity?
Ooh. No.
Go ahead and
on.
expand on
I'm
that
pretty
for
sure
me.
it said 10. Yeah.
So-
like, tell us more.
My thought is that all masculinity is fragile.
Mhm.
Like masculinity itself is fragile.
Mhm.
And part of that is because the standards of masculinity are untenable.
Mhm.
Patriarchy itself exists to do 2 things. One, to extract free labor from women and femmes by placing them lower on a hierarchy. So like the reproductive labor, the domestic labor, things like that. Second, it is meant to create a sense of machine-like work ethic in men, right? Where you must be the best, you must be this, you must be that. If you are not outperforming everyone else, you're not a real man, right? In feudal times, they would levy the idea of valiancy and what's the word I'm looking for? Valor, or what's the word when you rescuing a damsel in distress? What's that word?
Not chivalry, but the White Knight. What is it?
Chivalry, something along those lines, right? But the idea was that there is honor in performing masculine tasks, right? But really, that's just used to like make dudes work more, right? Because and so when men don't hit that marker, that's untenable in the first place, because you're not designed as a human being to constantly perform, to constantly work, to constantly meet all of these markers of masculinity. Eventually you break, period, right? And that's when I think about any social construct, I think about it in terms of either conflict theory or structural functionalism, right? Where it's either a vie for power or some sort of maintenance of a hierarchy, or it serves a purpose to a capitalistic function, right? So I just was wondering if anybody has considered like how much the idea of being a workhorse, being a good worker, influences how we treat each other in gendered ways. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think it goes back to, I believe it was what Athena said in regards to when for men performing, men having to perform to appear to live up to those standards. And I definitely believe that it can be a lot on you all. And I think the same goes for women too, in the sense that we also are performing to actually assist you all in upholding this idea of masculinity along with the patriarchy. Like some women tell their sons, don't cry, boys don't cry. Some women, like we fall into the traditional gender roles and we stick to them. Oh, I'm supposed to stay home. I'm supposed to do all of this work. Yes, Swan, the trad wife. So like we all participate in it. And I think that for men, it is a burden because when they can't uphold the front, they do break, and their breaking does cause, unfortunately, it causes a lot of harm. Sometimes the ultimate harm where you can't come back from it. If you guys get what I'm saying. So I would have the question, and you look, you're thinking solid.
Yeah, I was just, but it's clear that men's sense of masculinity breaks much easier, much more often.
Mm-hmm.
Can I? Sorry. Finish, Solid.
Yeah, I literally, I'm just gonna say, why y'all think that is?
Oh,
why you think that is?
I'm gonna be honest, Athena. I absolutely adore you. I really, really do. I really, really adore you. But I really want to hear from like what kosher things, and also Hector and Max. And this is a really good question.
All power to all the people. I gotta go.
You're so awesome, Solid. Thank you.
As a matter of fact, let it permeate in their minds for half a second before you go to them eat. Because let me call these out real quick. Because somebody said we got some straightening we need to do. And W's in the chat for Phil. Phil sent a $2 donation saying the guest didn't read the room. He came up and he felt attacked versus being curious, and showed how fragile us men can be. This was from earlier, so I didn't read that out. So I apologize, Phil. But Dub's in the chat for Corey, who sent a $9 donation, say, just checking to make sure this is working. We got a lot of people watching this fantastic panel. If everyone sends $1, I think great things can happen. Yes. The reason why Corey is saying that if everyone sends $1, great things to happen is because the reason why we are actually looking to raise funds is because we are doing donations to two wonderful causes. First and foremost, the cause is men's mental health with Movember, and we are also taking up donations that we will send to RAIN, which is an organization that helps survivors of DV. Right. So everything that we actually get as far as donation to the pay links, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, over these 3 nights, last night, tonight, and tomorrow night, will all be contributed to these two organizations. Now, also something that we definitely want to make sure that we are calling everyone's attention to is that there is help. We want to make sure that we're helping those who need help, including if you are in crisis, you can always call 988. If you're a veteran, you can select option 1. There's also National DV Hotline, which is 1-800-799-7233. RAIN.org, there's a chat function that you can use. And if you are someone in the queer community and you need help, you need support, then you can always go to the trevorproject.org, which they have multiple ways that you can actually communicate. So guys, we are taking up donations for specifically those causes. And I don't want to get too far away from that because Corey called it out. There is 544 people here. 544 people send $1. We can move this number, guys. This is not about grifting tonight. This is not about me. This is not about any other individual person. This is about doing something for those people that are in need. And while we have the opportunity to educate and help people, we want to help them in every single way. So again, anything that you can donate to the pay links, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, sorry, YouTube, you will go towards those donations. E.
Okay. Hi. I just want to shout out Phil. Thank you, Phil, for the $2. This also was in regards to earlier for what I said about opening your mind, heart, and your ears. Phil said, if you watch Ted Lasso, I did. One of the best quotes, be curious, not judgmental. Exactly. I always say assume good intent. I got that from General Joe Robles, who used to be the CEO of USAA. Assume good intent when having these conversations and, go from there. So thank you so much, Phil. Put $2 on the board.
Oh, okay. You know what? And listen, I'll call this out because it just shook a couple of shicklings,
Shekels? You don't say shekels.
I got it. Yeah, shekels. Shook a couple shekels loose.
Oh my God.
There we go. Shook a couple shekels loose. W's in the chat for Gene for the 1. Thank you so much for that. W's in the chat for Liz for the 10. Thank you so much for that. W's in the chat for Ashley for the 3. Thank you for that. W's in the chat for Jessica for the 20. Thank you for that. And W's in the chat for Hector. Come on, ever. For the 5. W's in the chat for everyone. I'm going to go ahead and do the math here in just a second. I got one more. Yeah, go ahead.
Add $1 for Gene. Gene said, glad to have you here. You're a good influence on Santana. I know that's right.
Also, W's in the chat for Mitchell for the 20. I did not mean to call you Mitchell. What up, Liv? Thank you so much. Thank you. W's in the chat for everyone. I'm going to go ahead and add that up. And again, every single dollar. And listen. Even though Erica is trying to convince me to buy a bus, we will not do that. I promise you, we will post every single receipt. So you guys know that the money that we are collecting goes to where it says that it's going to go. I promise you, we are being transparent, and anything that you donate, Santana Speaks for You, will be allocated for the correct purposes. If you got to ask about the bus, don't worry about it.
First of all, it's a garden. Thank you very much. Petty Triceratops gets it. It's a garden.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Moving on. Okay. All right. That was a great question. Actually, I am going to take it back. I want to hear from Athena in regards to what Solid said that about men breaking. Unfortunately, why is it that men break much easier under this system of patriarchy than women do? Covey, the floor is yours. And then I want to go to kosher because we haven't had a chance. And also we have DML458 here. And I definitely want to hear from them also. So we're going to try to pass it around the panel because Jordan is here too. It's a lot. Go, Covey, the floor is yours, love.
So I wanted to address 2 points, I think. The first point is the answer. I think because the this white supremacist patriarchal system that we live in trains them to disown the very tools that build resilience, right? So what tools build resilience? When we think about vulnerability, when we think about emotional expression, when we think about care, when we think about interdependence, right? All of these things men are conditioned to give up. And so men are rewarded for suppressing their feelings, right? And that is they equate their worth with like dominance and control. And so when that crisis does kind of inevitably come, they have very fewer ways to process this pain. So I think that's why they are more fragile than women, I guess. But also, I feel like when Solid was speaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here I go, leftist me talking about capitalism again. I feel like capitalism also demands men of doing this,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because men have to engage in this disciplinary performance in order to uphold this broader social order, right? When men are being conditioned to prove their worth through domination or control or competitiveness or emotional suppression, these are all qualities that are also being used to sustain capitalist exploitation. The reason as to why the capitalist system is being upheld, these patriarchal hierarchies, the violence that is needed to uphold this system is being normalized as a means of maintaining white supremacist power because men are being conditioned to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, the system that we live in, which is basically this globally imposed colonial, neo-colonial system that is exporting these European patriarchal norms, is positioning also at the same time certain masculinities as civilized and superior, while devaluing the masculinities of like indigenous or non-Western or fluid kind of gendered practices, right? So this is all a part of the machine. Men are being coerced into this performance of masculinity, which is not even only about their individual identity. It's not an individual identity, but it is about them participating in this global structure of upholding exploitation and normalizing violence. So that's what I thought about when Solid was speaking.
That's very interesting. Normalizing violence. I think we see that a lot via the media that especially our young people are consuming these days. And so I want to take it to Kosher. Hi, Kosher. Welcome to the panel.
Erica,
Hello. Hi, Kosher. If you don't mind me asking, do you have any children?
I do.
Okay. Any boys?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Great. So wonderful. Awesome. So with this, like when you I want you, it's kind of a two-parter. I do want you to address what Solid said, because I find that to be a very, very interesting question. Why men seem to break easier under this system than women do.
Mhm.
And then Athena, I'm sorry, mentioning, goddamn, I pulled a Santana. Then Athena mentioning like the culture of violence that we have, especially here stateside. And I think it's actually all over the world because Athena is international. But this culture that we have, how do you go about addressing it with your sons?
That's a great question. And, to be honest, I tell them, that your perspective, needs to be from a place of understanding, not only, you providing your voice, but also understanding whom it is your audience is, a lot like what all of you creators do. I think you do that quite masterfully. For me, it has a lot to do with perspective. A lot of men think of themselves as these thick-skinned individuals that can't be hurt or burdened by anyone else. Whereas anyone else from the outside looking in sees that sort of fragile masculinity and how thin it is, and it's sort of amplified by the fact that that their anger and aggression is merely just fear. fear of vulnerability. Too many men believe that if they show any sign of vulnerability, that that's an inherent weakness. And that's something that, because, like you said, the culture has been so embedded into society for so long, it's something that's extremely hard to break through. And ultimately, I think that's, just something that I also try to help my kids understand, is that, you're gonna have a lot of very, differing views from how you see the world out there. So just ensure that, how you approach these conversations is done with knowledge and understanding. If my kids come and ask me a question, I say, okay, let's go look this up together.
Yep.
Let's get the facts straight. Let's do this the right way. And I encourage them to listen to a lot of the content that I listen to. It doesn't always take, but it's worth the effort. At least I'm trying to nudge them in the right way. I have one child that is very much into, all of this information and wants to absorb it like a sponge, and another who's kind of like, I need to get back to esports. So
Awesome. Awesome. Go ahead, Santana. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, listen, I think that the role that's being played as far as ensuring that like we create a safe space for the younger generation in order for them to be able to express their emotions is so important. It's something that I try to make sure that I do when it comes to my boys, and let them know that, hey, like, it's okay to express your feelings and your emotions. It's okay to cry. It's okay to talk about what's wrong. You don't have to always be in conflict, right? You can actually just talk it through, and you have the right, and not only the right, you should feel your actual feelings, right?
Yep.
You don't have to shove it down, and you don't have to just completely box it up. So I think that's something that is really, really important, and I want to dig into that a little bit more. But I know there's a lot of people on the panel, so I'm not going to go too far in that. I do want to actually jump to DML 458. I need something else to call you, because I can't keep saying DLM 458.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, you could just call me DM if you want.
DM. All right. DM. DM, what do you think about that? As far as like, men and their emotions, and addressing the need to express your emotions in a positive way, and not just stuff them down inside to where they actually come out and they just, explode in other way.
So yeah, I do definitely agree that the suppression of men's emotions can be more harmful than good. And in terms of ways of expressing it, I think that having like a healthy brotherhood with like-minded individuals, like they're knowledgeable on like the harms that gender roles can provide, and the harms that the patriarchy and male fragility produces, and like they kind of build off of each other, like what Solid said earlier, like iron sharpening iron, and they just express themselves, speak their minds on like what's bothering them, things that they think is the healthiest way to deal with what's bothering them. Because I remember recently, so I'm not sure if this is exactly relevant, like my perspective, because I'm not actually American. I'm from Jamaica. So if I could like give a little backstory on that, like occasionally we have like these little like micro like gender wars, like on like our side of TikTok. Like recently there was a young lady on an interview. They asked her, what do you think, what would you do if your boyfriend like came to you with like something that was bothering him, something that was on his mind? She basically like said that that is not a masculine thing to do. Like you shouldn't, like as a man, people shouldn't know that you're stressed. Like basically like shut up and provide. And like that's kind of the whole culture in Jamaica because we're kind of like a little bit more like traditional than you guys would be. So a lot of men in Jamaica, they, you know, internalize all of these like social pressures. It gets to them, but then they form like a brotherhood with each other because there's like a lot of them. They'll be hanging out with each other, and they're still straight, yeah. But I started to like understand why they're always around each other. Like I guess this is the way they decompress the stress of society, because if you speak to them, they're actually you know, pretty intelligent, and they have like progressive ideologies. So just like speaking to each other, like um helping each other mentally, just having like your voice be heard, I would say.
Yeah, I do think there is a lot to be said about that as far as making people or making men specifically feel comfortable. And I think again that's why I said it starts at a young age. And I do know, like when you talk about different cultures in different countries, there is a sense of for lack of better words, machismo that permeates through different cultures, different societies, different countries. And you can see that men tend to deal in all of those same things. And it's a negative thing, in my opinion. It's a negative thing, in my opinion, because it leads to more conflict than it does resolution. It leads to more harm than it does help. And I think it's something that is very, very needed to be addressed. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Really quick, I want to call these out. W's in the chat for Kat. Kat sent a $25 donation. W's in the chat for Chewy. What up, Chewy? Chewy sent a $5 donation saying, love this topic, have something interesting takes. I love to share. Yeah, I'll get you in here in just a second. W's in the chat for Jacob. Jacob sent a $10 donation. And also over on YouTube, Chance sent a $2 super chat. Say, here's my two. Thank you so much, guys. We have officially brought up $183. Just a reminder, we are looking to raise money for two wonderful causes. One, men's mental health. We are raising money for Movember, and two, for RAIN. RAIN deals with survivors of DV. So any donation that you send to the pay links, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, will go directly to this. We are doing these over these 3 nights. Last night we were able to raise $551. And tonight, listen, tonight we need to kick it in high gear. I'm not even gonna hold you, chat. Usually I don't hassle you guys about donations or whatever, but we need to kick it up in high gear. There's 501 people hanging out here. We need to beat what we did last night. We need to at least get up to 600 tonight. So we got a lot of work to do. But if everybody send $1 to the pay links, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, we can definitely get closer to that goal. And we want to make sure that we're doing something special. And the other thing that I want to make sure that I call out is this is about help. This is about help. So I want to make sure that we provide resources if you are in crisis. So if you are someone in crisis and you need help, you can always dial 988. If you're a veteran, you can select option 1. If you are a victim of DV and you need help and support, you can always dial 1-800-799-7233 for the National DV Hotline, which is 24 hours. RAIN.org has a chat function that you can actually utilize if you cannot speak. And then also the Trevor Project for people that are part of the queer community. If you need support, they have multiple ways that you can actually contact them. Again, this conversation for these 3 nights are all surface around helping and supporting each other, addressing the needs and things that actually we need to be taking care of each other. So with that being said, I do want to pass it to Max. I know, Max, you had your hand up. I want to give you the floor for a moment, but I also want to introduce the new people to the panel, including Short Life Systems and Swan, and then we'll continue to go from there. So Max, floor is yours.
I kind of just wanted to address a couple of things. Men's mental health in the aspect of, I really like psychology, and so understanding how built up things from even our past, they stay in our brains even when we're not thinking about them. And so even tiny things can overwhelm us if we do not deal with those things when they first arise. And so that's why I believe that it's important to start these conversations and teaching emotional regulation from a young age, as well as just the neurological behaviors that exist with the chemical that helps with retaining information. Though when studying, adults have a higher amount of, it's called GABA, that's the shortened version of it. When children are studying, it rapidly increases and then it stays at that increased level for a couple of minutes after studying, which is why it's easier to learn as a kid. And even though like it's become more popular to in like certain aspects of the internet and certain aspects of society to raise awareness for mental health and the whole patriarchy, Men's Mental Health Month was only declared in 1994, which wasn't that long ago. And so these systems still exist in a lot of people who are raising kids currently. And if we don't address it and like adults don't deconstruct it and then teach it to their kids from a young age, it's going to be a lot harder to progress as a society. And it's important to start addressing it at a young age, because there is a time at a young age where kids are very dependent on their adults and peers have like slightly less impact than the teenage years. So if we build up the systems of emotional regulation and understanding how to call out different like harmful rhetoric, then when they have that impact of their peers, they're able to actually process it better. As well as when having these conversations as a kid, it's like also known through studies, the more you talk to a kid and the more you teach them at a young age, the more their brain is actually able to expand, and the less you talk to a kid, they actually lose ability to have their brains expanded, and it is harder to learn when you're older if you were not like talked to or like communicated with as a kid.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great call out, especially because what did it say? Like the brain development, most of it occurs by the age of 4 or something. I have to look up the exact number, but you're absolutely right. And I think again that speaks to the fact that there needs to be constant communication with the children, constant actual engagement with children and helping them fully develop. And so I think that's a great call out, especially I know we earlier talked about like the toxic politics that we have, and you can't I would be remiss if I didn't point out, red pill society and how that actually resonates today. And it's the youth that are really engaging in that. So it's a lot. It's a lot. With that being said, I do want to pass it to Short Life. Short Life, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Short Life, I would love to hear what you have to say, or what are your thoughts around men and their emotions? Is there an instance where, just in general, right? What are your thoughts as far as men being able to express their emotion, why they do or do not, things along those lines?
I think that men have been raised to suppress their emotions, especially white men in particular, and that emotions have been seen as a weakness instead of a strength, because emotions have always been tied to femininity. So when a man expresses his emotions, he's always belittled as if he was a woman, and it's a way to keep women down while also expressing that femininity is wrong and that you need to be essentially emotionless and robotic to prosper or have value within our current society.
Yeah, that's interesting and weird, because like I agree because there are certain men, when you actually engage with them, and they say, oh, you're acting like a woman, right? Like, I know you've heard that before, but like they think that's an insult by saying like you're acting like a woman. Why is that?
That's a hell of a compliment. Excuse my English, but
That
no,
part.
I think exactly. I knew you were listening, Hector. No, I think it's because, as Short Life was saying, that it is seen as more feminine, or is seen as feminine to actually be able to express your feelings. to have understanding of your emotions. So basically, to have emotional intelligence, and to be able to spot it in other people. They would say is a feminine trait, and again, is all because of the patriarchal system in which we live in, that this standard is upheld to where men are only respected if they are, of course, showing brute strength and aggressiveness and rigidness. So there's that. I think that is why. So if you're doing anything anything that's opposite of what is seen as masculine, then you are basically being feminine. And they think that that is an insult because they uphold this image of what a man is supposed to be. So that's why I think that I do want to ask Swan a question. So, hey, Swan, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking, love. I'm glad to have you. Swan, I'm sorry. I'm being so unfair. Jordan's been here. Jordan was here first, actually. So I'm going to ask Jordan, Daddy Swan, if you will allow me. Right. Hey, Jordan, how are you tonight, love?
Hey, I'm doing good.
I'm glad to hear it. Hey, so I do want to ask you. We spoke about this kind of earlier, but in this regard, what do you think? Why do you think that for men is so hard for them to actually feel those feelings? Why do you think it's so hard for them?
Because of their male colleagues, they lose respect among their male colleagues whenever they show these kinds of emotions. Because of what Short Life was saying, because it's viewed as feminine, and the whole you're acting like a girl thing. I'm trans, and I've gotten that from my guy friends, and I just roll my eyes, and now I'm trying to say called it, but that's the kind of thing that I feel like men feel like that what they have to do, the things that they have to hold back, and because they know it's difficult. They're not ignorant. They know it's difficult, and they feel like I feel like they feel like that it's the price that they have to pay in a social contract, and that they're because they hold their emotions back, and because they do all these things, that they feel like they're owed something, and that when they don't get what they're owed, that's when it starts to come out. That's when it starts to get angry, and that's just when it starts to get violent. When they feel like they fulfilled their part of the social contract, and whoever they think should fulfill the other half isn't doing what they think that they're supposed to be doing, and that's usually going to be women.
Yeah. And actually, Brandon in the chat kind of took it away from me. Don't take my thunder, Brandon. Don't do that. Brandon, he took my thunder, acting like a girl. Swan, I know that you have young boys. What do you do when they come to you and they say something like that? They said that I was, acting like a girl, or how do you deal with breaking down what is considered societal's heteronormative and also just the gender norms themselves? How do you go about approaching that conversation with your boys?
I would also like to comment on something you said and systems afterwards.
Okay, I got you, Hector.
Yeah, so I think for me, one thing that I've been really into is since they were babies, since they were in the womb, talking to them. I think that you have to lay that foundation. And they were both in programs that were educating them at very young. I think my oldest was 5 months old. My youngest was 3 months old in programs. And I mean, I worked there too. So, but emotional regulation is something that's huge. So that's something that we started working on. And then I think once they got to the age of recognizing or being able to say this is, this type of thing is attributed to girls, or this type of thing is attributed to boys, when their emotions come up, I'll ask them let's talk about this. How does this make you feel, or whatever it is? And I'll say to them, because this sounds kind of weird, but as Black women, I feel like there is a sentiment that we share with having to keep our emotions suppressed as well in society. Otherwise, we're we could be viewed a certain way. And I think having that connection to that, it makes it easier trying to explain to them, like, this is an emotion that you're feeling, and there's nothing wrong with you talking about it. Even if you don't want to talk about it. My oldest, he doesn't always like to talk about his emotions right away. He makes beats every single day. He's an amazing artist. He's brilliant. He plays the trumpet. So we talk about ways that he can process it as well. And I did want to say that, like if they don't want to talk, that's okay too. I think it's important to validate that as well and give them that space. And I think, like with one thing that's important too, though, is to make sure that you do come back on and have a conversation. Put it on their terms, though, on their terms, so that they're allowed to just process their emotions in the way that they want to. Suppressing them obviously does definitely come out in extreme behavior, but we don't talk enough about trigger warning. And I was thinking about this a lot. Twitch, he was a dancer, I believe, and he trigger warning. Y'all know what he did. He ended his life. And I think that is something huge that we need to talk about as well, because a lot of men do tend to go around acting as though, everything is fine when it's not. Sometimes it doesn't come out as anger. Sometimes it's them, shutting down completely. So I address all of those things and do it in the moment, and just allow your children to have the space to say what they need to say. Trust me, it's going to better the relationship that you have with them, and it makes it easier for them to come to, later on in life when things are really, really difficult as they get older. But
yeah. I like that. Feeling their feelings is very important. That's something I do with Bubba also, and also respect his boundary when he puts it up. When he says he doesn't want to talk right now, okay, you don't have to talk right now. All right, we can definitely, we can talk about it later. When you're ready, come to me. So just letting them know, our boys, letting them know that they have that space to be free, and letting them know that they are accepted. Again, I think I talked about this last night, but my son and I had a conversation about that. He did not have a good morning yesterday. Today was better, thankfully. But and I was like, "What's going on, bro? Like, tell me, like, what happened? Why did you do what you did?" I'm not gonna go into details. And he was like, "I just felt comfortable doing it." "Why did you feel comfortable doing it?" And he said, "Because you've always accepted me." And I was like, "Wow, that's crazy coming from an 11-year-old." That's what I said in my mind. But like, okay, let's flesh this out. Let's talk about it. And just giving them that space to feel comfortable to say those words really, really helps. Really, really helps them. And so I think that in order for us to like raise these emotionally intelligent and self-aware young men, we as parents have to be able to step outside of ourselves, because it's not about us, and just allow them to be. Yeah. So I'm going to pass it off to Santana.
Yep. No, listen, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's so important. And again, it's something that I live by, and it's really encouraging to hear other people say very similar things, because it's needed. I think it's our responsibility to create this next generation that is better than who we are, but especially men and the young boys that are being raised, teach them to be emotionally better. I do want to say a bunch of thank yous, guys. I do see your donations. I am trying to let the conversation continue to flow without interrupting before I jump in and say anything, but I am getting the donations. I am going to read off the donations, and I'm going to say thank you. There were a few that came in, and so I'm not going to necessarily read all of the what you guys said. I will try to go back and appreciate you guys individually, but just due to the sake of the conversation, I just want to read off the donations as far as the amount, and say thank you specifically to the people. So Alexis, thank you so much for the 5 for donation. That was easy. Jean, thank you so much for the 1. I appreciate you. Lynn, thank you so much for the 10. I really, really appreciate you so much. I think it's pronounced Briani. Briani, thank you so much for the 10 for Movember and Rain. You're awesome. F and Erica. E, drop some hearts in the chat for E for the $50 donation. Said, we picking up the pace or nah? Let's all do the good things for a great cause. I know that's right. Drop some hearts in the chat for E.
I said, let's do all the good things for great causes. I don't don't
do
know
some
what you
good
said,
things
but
for
you
Breed
ain't say
Cause.
what I
Yeah,
said.
I didn't do. Yeah, I missed all. Breed, thank you so much. Or the name is listed. Why is she like that? Thank you so much for the 10. Wow. I'm happy that you're out of that. Two, I'm happy that listening to Erica and I have helped you get there. And so, like, you're absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the 10. And also, Debbie's in the chat for Brittany for the 5. You are absolutely amazing. Yes. Yes, you absolutely can. Please still the arguments. If you got, and this is for any and everyone that's listening, if you guys hear anything that like you actually that resonates with you, that you find like is pertinent or whatever the case may be, and you want to take that argument back and you want to actually pass on that information, one, always fact check information, but two, absolutely. I know I speak for myself. I think I can speak for E, but if you hear something that you feel, especially during this time, if you hear anything that you think is beneficial to others, please take that and pass that information on. Absolutely. Guys, also, holy smokes, Dub's in the chat for Daniel. Daniel just added $25 to the donation. Daniel, you are freaking awesome. Thank you so much. That means that we're at $299. Guys, if anyone's wondering what are we doing with this money, because normally, I'm up here grifting. Tonight it's not about the grift. Late nights is not about the grift. Last night, tonight, tomorrow night, it's about a wonderful cause. We are raising money that we will be donating to 2 wonderful causes. One for men's mental health for Movember, and the other for RAIN, which goes to support survivors of DV. So all of the funds that are donated to Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, to the pay links over these 3 nights will be directly donated to these 2 locations. I'm sorry, these 2 organizations, and it is something that we are really want to show up and show out and do so much for. And also, I want to make sure that I'm calling this out as well, because not only is this about education, not only is this about making sure that we can actually help support those people that are in need, but we also want to make sure that we're providing resources for those people if you are in crisis. So if you are in crisis, you can always dial 988. And if you're a veteran, you can select option 1. If you're someone that is dealing with DV, the National DV Hotline, 1-800-799-7233 is available 24 hours a day. RAIN.org has a chat function, so just in case you want to actually speak with them. And also the Trevor Project for people within the queer community. If you need support, you can go to their help page, and they have multiple ways that you can actually get in contact with them. So again, guys, this conversation, what we're doing here tonight, it's not just about having this conversation. It's about doing the things to help the people. So if anyone can spare anything, $1, $2, $5, please consider doing so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Santana speaks for you. And of course, we will be posting all of the receipts after we do this. Transparency is key. With that being said,
Exactly.
E, I'm going to pass it back to you, because I think you were getting ready to go to Hector for something. And then we want to make sure we get to the new people on the panel as well.
Yeah. Hector, I did want to, I can't recall, I'm so bad at this. I'm so sorry. But Hector, I know you mentioned you had a comment on what Jordan said. So I'm just going to give the floor to you. And then we want to introduce Travis and of course, Chewy. So Hector, the floor is yours.
Travis and Chewy, because I just stuffed my face full of food.
You know how I feel about that. Okay. Hi. Welcome, Travis. Welcome, Chewy. All right. Let me see. For you all, I'm gonna go ahead.
I want to I just looked at the time, and so I think we need. I know Travis. I'm sorry. I know Chewy has a conversation. I'm sorry. Something that Chewy wants to share, but I want everybody to start thinking about this, because we need to start shifting this conversation to helping hands. And we're going to really dig into helping hands, meaning resources, access. How do we help? How do we actually get those people going in the right direction? So I want everybody on the panel to start thinking about that, because that's where we're going to go overall. I just want to throw that out there, E.
Okay. All right. So then Not me eating a Skittle. So, Chewy, I'll give the floor to you, love. What did you want to share?
Thanks, Erica and Santana. So I've got kind of a hot take on toxic masculinity in general. I actually don't believe in toxic masculinity. I believe we have a toxic culture problem. And I believe culture uses masculinity because masculinity, by definition, is a sociological construct, right? Because I mean, you go to different places on earth, masculinity means different things depending on what culture you're in, and even masculinity in our own culture has changed through time, and I believe they've changed, or moved the proverbial goalpost on masculinity. Because like right now, for example, the big alpha beta thing, for masculinity, like when I was a kid, we'd never used those terms. That was never part of quote unquote masculinity, but that's where it's been pushed so that way the patriarchy and then the elites within the patriarchy can use that view of masculinity to control the narrative, control us as a populace, and that's what's so damaging to society as a whole, and specifically to men, and very much so young men and children, because of how they create this construct of masculinity and how we are then supposed to live to this view of masculinity. And I mean, it's ingrained to us at an early childhood, and it's very, very damaging. And I'll kind of stop there if anyone wants to bounce off of that or have perspective.
I'm back. Now I have three things. So I don't think you meant it this way. But we very much do have a toxicity problem overall, right? In society in many different areas. But I do think aspects of masculinity can be toxic, or at least what it's portrayed to be. And we can apply that to anything else. It was just almost sounding like when people say, "Oh, I don't think we have a gun problem, we have a people problem." It was kind of sounding like that, and I know that's not how you meant it. But you did say it was a hot take, so I get you there. We can get back to that later. I wanted to go back to Erica's point that she made about taking it as a compliment when men get called. What did you say, Erica?
Hector, today, if I could just bring a little bit of levity to the conversation, I'm unmedicated today. I do not remember. I'm not going to kid you.
It was something along the lines of like whenever we get called, basically things along the lines of simp,
when you're acting like a girl?
Yes, there we go.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
And I've learned to take all of those things as a compliment. Whenever I've been called a simp, it's because I was trying to uplift women and give them a platform and a voice to put them first, to make sure that they are heard. Whenever I've been called a little B, that is typically when I was being more vulnerable or more understanding, listening more. Whenever I've been called a wuss, it's when I decided to show humanity and put down the tough guard, the armor of quote unquote masculinity. So every time I've been called these things, it's typically when I was trying to do the right thing. It was typically when I was trying to be a better man. So I'm a whole simp. I'm a whole bitch. Santana's mom.
I was just about to say, wait a minute.
And my mom, good grief.
Erica's mom, I apologize. Jeez. I am all of those things. No problem whatsoever. I wear it like a badge of honor. We can even go into just other little things in my life. And I've heard this from someone mention it last night on the panel, that men perform for other men and men do all these other things for other men. I remember I was 19 years old. I had my first little job, and I bought this Hollister Co. shirt, and it was black with a bunch of pink roses on it. And I love that shirt. And I wore it to work. And it was a woman, mind you, and a white one at that, who came up to me and said, "You're going to give your girlfriend her shirt back?" And I said, "No, this is my shirt." and I like it. So I think it's staying with me. And then I remember going to the store afterwards when I got off, and throughout the entire time I wore that shirt in general, where I'd walk into the store and I get all these different like looks, like flattery looks from women. People would stop me and say, I like that shirt and stuff. The only negative energy that I got about that was from men. So I just think it just goes to show all the things that men tell you are bad or, you know, gay or all these different things. It's all made up and it's all in their head. But I'll stop there. The second point I wanted to make, going back to what Jordan said, if I can remember what it is.
You guys got to start writing stuff
You gotta
down.
take notes, man.
Yeah,
I'm about to say that you gotta start taking notes around these parts, bro.
I was talking about how it's kind of like a social contract that they feel like they're not getting what they paid for by holding back their emotions and by living in a certain way. That's what I was saying before.
Yes, there was something specific that you said in that I cannot recall. If it comes back to me, I'll go back to it, but I'll rest my case here.
Yeah. And so then I would like, if I could, Santana, to go to Travis. And I want to know, like, from you, Travis, like, how can we be a helping hand? I know I don't know how long you've been listening, but we did talk about how we can approach conversations, the types of conversations that we can have. But like beyond that, how can we be of help to those who have fallen, you know, I don't know if I want to call them victims, but I'm going to use that for lack of a better word. I'm going to say a victim of like red pill ideology, this fragile masculinity. How can we be a help? Like any resources that you may have available, or so like how can we be of help to them?
I'm going to answer that, but I want to say something first. I don't really know how to answer that because I think I might be the only person on this panel that actually was in the red pill thing. I was in that toxic masculinity thing. I was on the far right. I had all those thoughts and opinions everyone said. So I don't know if that will help or hurt the conversation.
I think that
you could help.
I was literally just about to say, I think you're the perfect person to answer this because you just said you were. Like
past
you
tense?
said exactly past tense. So unless you are still engaging, and I mean, if you are able to come to a place where you realize that like it's not productive, it's not something that's actually engaging, and it's not something that you want to be a part of. Like if you've made it to that point, then Travis, like the floor is yours. We're all ears because you have the secret sauce.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, you know, I've been wanting to come on since you announced this because I want to kind of shortly, because we are running out of time, tell my story. And if I swear, I'm sorry, everyone that doesn't like that.
Go ahead.
I try very hard not to. So long story short, I'm 26. Okay, so for years, even when I was a kid, I had this issue with my parents, most of my father, my uncle, you know, my grandparents, who were very much into that side of it. They grew up in that, and they wanted to pass that to me, saying that, you know, you're a man, so you got to be strong. You can't break down and cry because crying is bad and it makes you a wimp and a girl. And do you guys remember the song "A Boy Named Sue" from Johnny Cash? Do you guys remember that? If you don't, that's fine. But my father heard that many times, and he called me Susie. And in other words, a wimp, a B word, or whatever, because I didn't want to pick up big heavy pieces of wood outside or whatever, because I was a little guy and I had skinny, I'm not skinny anymore, but I had skinny little arms, you know. I didn't want to pick that up, but my father was like, "Whoa, Susie, you need to do." I hated that. Drove me nuts. So I can't listen to that song very much anymore because of that. So fast forward many years and I got the internet. So me having these opinions plus the internet is not a good combination at all. So I was in the Gamergate thing, if you guys remember that. I was a part of that fiasco, and I watched, you know, Keemstar and all these other people, and it made it worse. And then I got into, because like when Trump came on the scene, my family are very much big time Republican, pew pew owners, they love that stuff, big time Christian, whatever. So, I wanted to, make sure my parents didn't have any thoughts of maybe he's gay or whatever, because I had feminine, things that I did. I didn't realize it just kind of happened, So I voted for Trump, and in 2020, and I did the whole thing. I even have a Trump shirt from like 2018. I mean, I'm not even joking. My father bought it for me. I was deep in the sauce until 2020 comes around, and I'm far right, listening to the show called Revenge of the Sis. It's on YouTube about these two guys talk about this kind of stuff. Very racist, very sexist, very horrible, horrible stuff. So I was deep into that sauce too. So in 2020, I met my now partner, and they were born a woman, but they're gender fluid. That means something to me later on. And they told me flat out, if I was going to keep, going down this path of just horrible rhetoric, that they would never talk to me again, ever. I'm done, and I really like this person, but, I had to pick. Do I want to continue down the road of just horrible, just all the ists, like all of them, or pick somebody that I probably maybe eventually down the road could be dating at some point, because I also had an issue with dating people, and I thought I was an incel for many years, and the almost skinhead, the whole nine, and it was bad until they came around and they changed a lot of my opinions on things slowly but surely. And then I went to work in a warehouse, and I seen black folks and gay folks and all kinds of people that I never met before, and they helped me realize that, what, I don't need to subscribe to that horrible pro male rhetoric. I don't need to, because it's not healthy for me and not anyone else. And I was angry all the time, always mad, always pissed off, always angry about everything, about everything that was going on in the world. And I thought that it was just terrible and everything. Well, then I met all these fantastic people over the years, and C19 did not help because then I started to look into myself afterwards, a couple years afterwards, and went, all this stuff, all this stress, all this stuff that pent up inside me for so many years, even as a kid, all this trauma that I had, I need to realize to myself that it's fine to cry. It's okay. It's not bad, It's fine to talk about these different things that are going on in my life to other people, and my partner of now, same person from 2020, has been trying to teach me these things, trying to kind of get me to understand their side of it, because I never really had a woman that talked to me, in the way that they did, to basically say, I'm never going to speak to you again if you don't stop your crap. And that changed me. That changed me more than I even realized, and it takes a lot to change and to move your opinions around and it's the people, and Erica said last night, and I love what she said, because I didn't think about it. With all these lonely men, like myself at one point, we trauma dump on to other people, or significant others, whatever. And I did that a little bit with my partner, and I didn't realize it until she said it. And I'm like, oh crap, I need to tone that down. So I'm not gonna try not to do that as much. See, I gotta watch myself too, because I'm bad. I'm still bad on some things. I try not to be.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to help myself and take the step to better myself. And I was also very much anti-gay, very much so. But now you guys will be happy to know that.
Let me jump in half a second, Travis, because I want to because you
I'm
said
sorry.
a lot. No, you're good. I know. Actually, finish your point because you were about to say we'll be happy to know. So I want you to go ahead and say what you have to say, but I got a couple of things that I want to say, and I want to open this up because I think you said a lot of things that are really important.
So back when I was far to the right, I was very much anti-gay. It was weird. And I kind of side-eyed, black folks and so on and so forth because that's what my father had in me. You'll be happy to know that about 2 weeks ago, I went to a Pride event for the first time ever on a Saturday, like 2 weeks ago.
That is
so I came a
huge.
long way.
Yeah, it is. And I'll just tell you for all of the quote unquote straight people out there or whatever, if you've never been to a Pride event, they're lit. So like there's that. But like you said a lot just now. The one thing that I kind of wanted to call out, right? And it sounds like you actually you did the thing, because I was kind of worried with your story when you were talking about like your partner being the catalyst for change, which there's nothing wrong with having a catalyst for change. But the thing that I know for a fact is if you don't have if you don't have the desire within to actually change, no matter what that catalyst is, you'll never fully change, right? It'll be a temporary change, but it'll never be a permanent change. You have to have that desire to want to actually change yourself. But then listening to you speak more, and you said that during C19 you had to take time to look at yourself. Like that's the part where I was like, yep, you got it right there. So that's something I want to call out to everyone, because what Travis said is something like, again, there was so much, and I agree with Erica and her premise as far as like how there's some young men have a bunch of feelings and they don't have anyone to share those feelings with. So sticking to the thought process, right? The thought process of helping hands and wrapping this conversation around. I want to kind of open it up to the panel, and I need to know, like, how do we address the feelings of the older men now that have never had that, and how do we address the feelings of the younger boys, so when we raise them, that they actually know and feel safe that they can do that. But this is what I want to do, because I don't want the women to have to speak to the men now, right? I do know that some of the women on the panel have young boys, and so I would like to hear from the men about how you address that with the other men now, and I would like to hear from the women on the panel about how you would address that with the youth, the boys, the kids. And so I want to start with Holly. See, Holly, I want to start with you because you haven't had an opportunity to speak, but I would love to hear your thoughts. But how do we address the men slash young men or boys as far as those emotions that they have, and making sure that they know that they can share them? Oh, I'll send you a request to come off.
See, Holly.
Send you a request to come off mute. There we go.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I was primarily raised by my grandfather. He was a baby boomer.
Mm-hmm.
When my grandmother died, he'd go into his bedroom to cry. I've seen the man probably cry a whole of 3 times. The first time I saw him cry was I don't know why I thought it, but it almost was unnatural in a way. I shouldn't have thought that way. Hey, but he in a way he understood. It's different when you see your father cry. Well, father figure for me. You always picture him as someone who could almost do anything. Of course, he was a baby boomer. His father didn't cry in front of him, and they were just taught that men didn't cry. Hi, and that's just how he was taught. Now I'd never believed that it wasn't okay for men to cry. It's all right too. We're human and we're allowed to show emotion. The most important thing is to remind most young boys that they're human and they have the right to show that emotion. And whether most men like to think it or not, most men are already over emotional.
Yeah.
And if you want to help project young boys in a healthy form of masculinity, watch who they're watching and see if that's a good example around your child. And explain how what they're saying may be dangerous or contradict any form of real life.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think that understanding the people that we put around our kids and the youth is super important, and even more so, I think that a lot of men have this misconception that we have to be like our fathers or our fathers' fathers or whatever. We have to be these rough, tough, rugged individuals that is super stoic, right? I mean, you think about like the idea of Batman or John Wayne or whatever, like these figures that never exhibited any type of emotion, and I think that's a figure of the past, and I think addressing that is something that's like the way that we actually get to a better today is by saying, hey, just because it was that way in the past does not mean that we have to be that way today. Like it was acceptable then, but it's not something that has to actually, we have to hold on to today.
Yep, I totally agree with you. There's always going to be room for change. And Santana, if you will, because remember, I am a medicated. In regards to the young boys, because I want to make sure that I answer this succinctly, and then I want to pass it off to Swan. Could you repeat that question for me, please?
Yeah, and so just for everybody on from the women on the panel, I would love to hear your perspective as far as how do we specifically engage the young men, the young boys, and let them know like, hey, you dealing with your emotions are okay, you addressing your feelings are okay. And for the men on the panel, how do you deal with men? Because I feel like men are a lot tougher and we need to fix each other. Like they're a lot more set in their ways, they're a lot more stubborn, they're a lot less likely to engage in the positive things to change. So men, we have to fix men, but I would love to hear the women's perspective on how you raise up the next generation so they don't repeat the same mistakes that the men now do. So that's where we are.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. I thought so, and I wanted to make sure. And it actually kind of goes back. I think it's a fantastic question. It goes back to what I was mentioning earlier, is that we give them that space. In my opinion, and maybe I live in a bubble, and I don't know. I hope no one bursts my bubble, but just in my opinion, I think the majority of parents want to be their children's safe space. They want their children to be able to just come to them and have the conversations, whether it's trivial or it's tough or it's the hardest thing ever to talk about. They want their children to feel comfortable to coming to them to have those conversations. And I think as parents, we have to be able to unpack our emotions also Right? We have to know how to, feel our emotions, process them, and also release them before we can even go into helping our children feel their emotions, process them, and releasing them. So I think therapy is extremely, extremely important on both fronts. I'm an advocate for therapy. Like, please go sit on the couch, and like have those conversations, because it helps you, especially as a parent. Like, it helps you to understand that your children are little humans, and while you feel things, they feel them greatly. Like, they feel them so greatly. They have big emotions, and they need someone to help them to be able to guide, to ride those emotions, to be able to get them out. And it's not even just about communication, because communication is this right here, just talking to each other. But do you understand what it is that they're saying?
Yeah.
Can you actually disseminate what it is? Can you figure out the why behind the why? Are you an active listener? So I think that as parents, having those resources available, not to yourself, will then help you be able to actually help your children. And so, Swan, I want to pass it off to you, because I want to know what you think. Like, how can we specifically engage our young boys in dealing with their emotions and letting them know that it's okay to, address them?
Yeah, I think what you said is really important about parents making sure they have the tools themselves. That's something that my siblings and I talk a lot about. When we were growing up, it was the chancleta, you know what I'm saying? We don't do that. We do not get down like that. We do not do that. We talk to our children. We have conversations with them. I think so. Making sure that you yourself have the tools is important. If not, you're going to parent from a place of the past. And without even realizing it, you'll do it. So that's really important. The other thing I think that's important is to also understand that there is a chance that your children may not always feel as though they can come to you and open up to you about certain things. That's just how it is. So I would say one thing that's important is to, I guess, I mean, it like a safety circle is what I would call it, but like, because it pertains to other things. But you basically, you and your children, you talk about adults that they feel safe with and that they feel comfortable with, and you let them know, like, hey, if there's anything that you ever feel like you're afraid to tell me, you can talk to this person. It happened with my nephew. He told me about something that made him really uncomfortable. It was a comment that someone had made towards him, and I was like, well, hey, bud, like, we could tell your mom about this together. Will that make you feel more comfortable? And he was like, yes, 100%. So that's important. The other thing I wanted to say is that I think, first of all, patience. It takes children, it takes 2,000 reminders for something to set in. So you have to have patience. If you don't have patience, you're doing your child a disservice. That is something that all parents have to work on. And then in the moments when you and your child are enjoying your company together, talk about these things then. I think it's really important to attach any, like, I guess any education when it comes to anything in life to those good moments when you're talking to your children, because they're fully engaged if they're happy. Like, let's say you're at the park or something, or you're out to eat, or you're like, that's one thing that I think a lot of people kind of sleep on, is those positive moments, right? And then when they do it, praise the hell out of it. I'm so glad that you came to me and you told me this. I feel I guess it's gonna sound cheesy, but like, I'm honored, I'm happy, whatever, right? Like, that's important. But then also, you need to model that towards your children. The first relationship that your child has with the world is the relationship that they have with you. I'll be damned if I never tell my kids sorry. I've been told by aunties, you're too soft on those kids. Like, you letting them kids run your household. No, absolutely not. I have to, if I'm messing up as a parent, I want to hear that from them. Ask them for feedback, right? Yep. Some people probably think that's me giving up control, right? When I ask them how I'm doing with my parenting, people in their mind, they hear that and they're like, they're thinking that my kids are saying, Mom, we want marshmallows every single minute of the day. And I'm saying, yeah, you can have it. No, that's not what's happening. What's happening is they're learning how to establish healthy boundaries, and they can say, hey mom, I did not appreciate this. So I think that those are also like really, really important aspects to making sure you facilitate a space where your children can share their emotions. Is you have to model it and do that with them and towards them as well. All of those things are super important.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm sorry to add this in real quick too, if you have Black sons, understand that it is your responsibility to provide that positive representation for them, and you have to do that at all times, because they are not going to get it in society. We are not there yet, and I hate to say that, but that is something that is crucial. And I'm talking like whatever shows it is that they're watching. My sons know about Static Shock. They know like all the, all of the things that pertain to us culturally. I think that that is so important, because we know that young boys that are Black are met with aggression right out the gate in society, and that is hard to combat. So it is something that if you are a parent and you have if you have Black sons, it is crucial that you make sure you provide that aspect that with their upbringing as well. It's really important. But yeah.
Yes. Very, very. I totally agree with you, Swan. I think you and I go to the same school of parenting. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. Wow. Go ahead, Santana.
No, go ahead and finish your sentence, and I was just.
Oh no, I just think I'm just amazed, because like Swan and I are like eye to eye. So yeah, no, the floor is yours, buddy. What? I just called you buddy.
I know.
I'm in parenting. I'm in parenting mode. I was just talking to Bubba. I'm like in complete parenting mode. He is refusing to go take a shower. What is wrong with little boys?
Yeah.
Anywho.
No, I just wanted to say W's in the chat for Laura. Laura sent a $10 donation for All-Star Panel. Absolutely, Laura. Thank you so much for that $10 donation. And this is kind of the last time I wanted to call this out, and I want to make sure I really draw attention to this. Because we are starting to wind it down. For the people that can see, we do have the clock up now. This is the countdown timer for tonight. So we have the rest of this evening, but then we have one more night tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be crazy. Not going to hold you. There are a ton of people scheduled for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be absolutely wild. But I do want to call this out. That we are raising money for an amazing cause. Two amazing causes. One, let me do this. Sorry, guys. Just stop that for a second. One for Movember for men's mental health, and the other is for RAIN for survivors of DV. All the funds that we are able to collect in donation between yesterday, today, and tomorrow, we're going to donate to these two different causes. And of course, we will be posting receipts because we believe in transparency. And it's going to be all the donations that are sent to the pay links: Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. All the pay links are in Linktree in the bio. Anything that you guys donate over these 3 nights will be going to these two different charities. So if you can spare $1, $2, $5, $10, it does not matter what it is. If you can chip in any way, I want to make sure that we're doing our part to help out these different organizations that are directly trying to address what we're talking about on this conversation. And with that also being said, I want to make sure that people always have the resources that you need, just in case you need help and you're in crisis. If you are in crisis, you can call 988. If you're a veteran, you can always select option 1, and specifically you can get help if you're a veteran. If you're a victim of DV and you need support, the National DV Hotline is available 24/7 at 1-800-799-7233. RAIN.org has a chat function. If you guys, if you are unable to actually speak with someone, you can actually use the chat function. And also the Trevor Project for people that may be a part of the queer community that's in crisis. If you need support, the Trevor Project has, not only on their help page, they have a text function, they have a phone number, they have an online chat function. It's a lot. So guys, we want to make sure that we are giving those people the support that they need. If anyone needs that actual support, W's in the chat for Brenda, who just sent a $6 donation to bring that up to 315. So yeah, guys, this is my last plea for the night. If anyone is has any couple of dollars that you can spare to go towards this this actual wonderful charity or initiatives that we're trying to help, please consider doing so. With that being said, I want to pass it around the panel, and I want to kind of get again future thoughts, final thoughts. I want to come to Chewy. Chewy, super interested to hear your perspective as a white man in America, a avid two-way type of man. Like, how do we talk to other men, like other older men, and start to help them deal with the emotional, I guess you can call, trauma that we've dealt with throughout all our lives, if we have not dealt with that? How do we engage those men? Oh, Chewy, are you? Oh, yeah. You know what? Chewy said he had to step away. I don't know if he's back yet. I'll give him a half a second. Chewy going once. Chewy going twice. Hector, you answer the question.
I don't have the most uplifting answer. I don't know. I think that's very hard. I think that would be very hard to do, especially depending on the background of the men that we're talking about. I'm a child of immigrants, and other cultures, particularly some aspects of Caribbean culture, are very, very patriarchal, very one-track minded. It's very hard to look at, a 67-year-old Trinidadian man and tell him that it's okay for, a guy to wear makeup. It has nothing to do with you. That's just something that's going to be super hard for a lot of people. So I guess for me, I'll speak from just in general when I'm speaking to men, even in the debate spaces and stuff. I try to present it more so not from a place of getting them to understand and change, but more so going like, how does this actually affect your life? Everyone and their mama has something that they have an issue with. But how much does it actually matter? Does somebody, wearing we'll say a see-through shirt, a man wearing a see-through shirt, how does that impact you? You go out to the grocery store, you see it, you just look away, move on about your business. And I think for a lot of people, unfortunately, that's the best we can do. That's the furthest we can go. However, I do think there's a lot of other men that, something I've observed, I think a lot of men in that age group become lost, especially if you're trying to like integrate into society. Maybe you're a 6-year-old divorcee and you're trying to date now, or you're trying to make a different batch of friends, and then you come out into a completely different world from what you grew up with, and you're just like, what do I do here? And I think that's an opening for a lot of people to seek out help, particularly from someone they think is from that generation, can relate to that generation. And from there, it's just about knowing the right things to say, taking special care in what you say and how you say it to them, and trying and doing it from a place of love, even to some degree, calibrating to how they respond to things. Not completely, especially if it's from a place of just straight aggression, but some men do kind of only respond to that, or respond better to that because of how they were brought up. So you may have to dabble into that a little bit. But yeah, that would be my answer, which was kind of all over the place. But yeah.
No, it makes sense. One thing that you did bring up, Hector, is that change. It could be hard for them to change, but you kind of try to hold their hand through it. And so I want to take it to short life. When it comes to our young boys, short life, like we want to engage them in how to deal with their emotions. And again, like Santana said, letting them know that it's okay to address their emotions. But how do we go about doing so when we like? How can we help them to shape them before they become so rigid? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, I think I understand. So my tribe, we have a specific word for women of significance. It's biawachichis, and our women who have earned that title, they are, so we don't have clan mothers, but just for common sake, that's essentially what we are. So, for example, with me, with my clan, I host I work with the schools and I host educational teachings. And I kind of just work with the kids and teach them our traditional values, which was very empowering women, strengthening the familial bonds and respecting the women's traditional place within the tribe. And a lot of that comes with embracing your emotions, embracing your place within the tribe, acknowledging your strengths. And sometimes that doesn't mean physical strengths, that means being more accessible for fishing or horse training or something that some wouldn't consider typically masculine, but still very accepted and important. That in these positions could be held by both men or women. And with the coming of colonization, men had to take a back seat to those roles because if the government came in and saw that, they wouldn't essentially work with us. And just like women had positions of power, and the government wouldn't work with us. Like they would only work with men who established. It's late. Established masculine features, masculine positions of power, like our warriors, for example. So our whole cultural way of living had to be changed for survival. So a lot of that came with downplaying our emotions and minimizing the maternal aspects of our life. And with that came the anger, the hatred, the higher depression rates, higher rates of addiction, to form to this mold that isn't typically us. So I've been working with our school system to kind of reintegrate our traditional teachings, because it starts from the young ones. The young ones will talk to the older ones to get their experience. Like this week I had them ask someone in their clan in history who was a clan mother within their clan system. And that just helps them to empower themselves, talk with our elders, and really grow their own sense of self-worth and knowledge base through our traditional ways.
Okay. All right. So through culture is how you help them you help prevent them from becoming rigid, so that they can be more open to change and new ideas. I like that.
I do too, and even more so because think about it. It sounds like being forced to geez, it is late. What is it? Not what's the word
Not
that I'm looking for?
capitulate.
No, not capitulate.
Conform.
Conform.
Don't say assimilate.
Jeez Louise,
Conform.
conform.
Okay. There we go.
Being forced to conform in order to be able to get any type of progress or support or things like that. But then being able to say like, hey, we haven't always been this way. We have a past and a history of being more connected and more open and more accepting. Like, I think that's super important. And Short Life, for you to be able to lean on that, that's massive because, at least in the Black community, we don't necessarily, Black Americans don't necessarily have that, right? The history of slavery and taking our history from us and things like that. So we don't necessarily have that. So I think that that's a great point and like an amazing way to do so. I want to kick it over to Trevor. Trevor, you wanted to say something, but Trevor, I would like to hear from you really quick. Like, I know you shared your story, but since you have pulled yourself from that actual, I'll just call it abyss, how do you grab other people? What are you doing, or what's the best way to actually grab those people and bring them out and let them know, like, hey, it's okay to get away from hatred or bottling up emotions and things like that, and trying to find healthy ways to deal with it?
First off, it's actually Travis, not Trevor. Just so
I'm
you know.
sorry, Travis. I apologize.
It's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to correct you. To answer your question, I like to say something about like what Hector was saying earlier. He was talking. I think he was talking about the older generation. You know, like the one Gen X and older, possibly, saying that it was a little bit difficult to, come out of what they know, out of their ecosystem, and coming into something new. I like to also kind of say that it's also difficult for people like me. You know, it took like 5 years, 4 years to get here, and it's gonna take another 4 years to get where, probably, or even longer, to get where y'all are. You know, I'm enjoying these lives, and I get to not only listen to what you all are saying, but also I get to get more input in from other people that you follow Santana, and learn from other people about different things. So it's helping me out too. And the thing that I'm to answer your question, I want to say that I can try to talk to some of these people, but a lot of them are just not going to listen. They're going to call me every, Fox News name in the book, saying that I'm some liberal, so on and so forth, and they're not going to listen. But for me, it's also very difficult to talk to them about, political stuff, or just bringing yourself out of being surrounded by this toxic masculinity. Because I have to hide a lot of my stuff that I learned from everybody, not just you guys, but from other people too. I have to hide a lot of that stuff from my father and my grandparents and my uncle. I gotta hide a lot of that. I don't want to do that, but with my situation currently, thank God I'm going to therapy tomorrow for the first time ever. Thank God.
W's in the chat for you. That's huge.
I can talk to people. Yeah, it took a bit. I knew I needed to do it, but I feel I had to. My mom told me that you probably should. And I'm like, yeah, but just I got to get I think I have like ADHD or something. I never been diagnosed, but I think I have it. So my brain has to get to where I need to go. Yeah, I need to get out of my funk and do it. And that's also difficult to do.
Yeah.
Because you watch all the stuff on the news and everything, and you sit in your funk and you go, I don't want to do anything because the world is crap, and I gotta jump out. I gotta do something. I gotta get out and make a difference in my world, and also try to make a difference to everybody else who's dealt with this. That's why I think I told you in my comment on last night's stream that I made a separate TikTok just to try to get people to listen to what I have to say, and maybe it will help them out. Maybe it won't either, but I want to try to put myself out there and say, hey.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish your point.
I'm sorry. I was going to say I want to get myself out there and try to, help out other people who may have had similar experiences to me.
Yeah.
And I want to be there, like help them out and advocate for that.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's like
see what I can.
Yeah, when you get to that place, you want to make sure that you actually stand up and be the example. And I think the fact that you're trying to do that is absolutely amazing, right? I mean, yes, creating a different TikTok in order to be able to push that information out and people to be able to get it and accept it. I think that's huge. But even more so, the one thing that I want, Travis, for you, and it's just from me to you, I'm really hoping that you can get to the point where you feel like you don't have to hide the information and knowledge that you've learned. You feel like you can share the changes that you've made, because I'm telling you, like the stories that you've shared and your experience that you've shared has been so valuable. And I know it's going to actually reach people that other people on the panel, we wouldn't be able to reach because we haven't lived through that experience that you have. So I think it's super important to get your message out there. E, I know we have a couple other more people that we want to get to. So who do you want to throw it to next?
Let's throw it to Jordan. Let's throw it to Jordan and ask Jordan the question. Jordan, what do you think? How can we go about engaging our young boys, our young men, into feeling their feelings and appreciating that it's okay to actually feel them.
So what my dad always did is he always told me that it was like okay to cry, and he'd always say, if you're gay, it's okay, and all that stuff. But another thing he would say, and this is something that I don't think we really like talked about yet, is he would say like if other boys, because this is back before I came out as trans, I was a little boy. He would say, when you see if other boys say anything about you crying, F them. And I think that needs to be told to kids early on, that other people, like people that won't change, or people that are just a certain way, they're going to be telling your child that they're saying they're like calling them feminine insults for being emotional, or they're going to try to get them to change to be more like them. And what you want them, like, I feel like you need to insulate them against that kind of stuff, like my dad did, because I had people like try to tell me all the time that I was too emotional, that because I would like try to actually like talk about things instead of just like being angry, and they would like take that as a bad thing, and it was so strange because my dad always instilled in me, he was always saying just like, don't listen to them if they say you're wrong for having emotions, for showing emotions, because it's okay to show emotions. Like that doesn't make you a man, or like any less of a man by doing that. And I think that's a important message that we should instill in kids before they start going out and like having all these interactions with like other kids that are toxic.
I agree with you actually, and I think that having those male role models. It is late. I'm starting to talk like the host. I think having those male role models in their lives, especially as a father figure, or it could be an uncle, it could be a cousin or brother, whichever, it could be a coach, but having those men in their lives who also can approach these conversations and be a safe space for them is extremely important. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to pass it back to Santana and see, Santana, who do you want to go to?
The last person that we haven't had an opportunity to hear from, and I don't know if they're back or not, but Chewy, are you there?
Chewy, going once.
He said in the chat that they're in a phone call and to drop them. They said that in the chat like 10 minutes ago.
Got it.
Oh, okay.
All
Thank
right.
you, Jordan.
Thank you, Chewy. Also, Systems, Travis, Hector Swan. I'm also going to drop you guys down because we are getting towards the end of the live, and I want to kind of do a full circle recap with Erica. And but I appreciate you guys coming up, specifically because I think this has been super, super important tonight. And I think there's so much left as far as what we have to talk about tomorrow night. And plus, I kind of want to drop you guys before I say what I have to say, because there's something, it's a teaser. Anyway, thank you all for coming up. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hector. Thank you, Swan. Thank you, Jordan.
Night, y'all.
Hey.
Have a good night, y'all.
E.
What's up?
So you said something earlier, and I think I want to talk about this tomorrow. I didn't want this to start a conversation tonight, and I don't even really want you to talk about it, but I'm going to leave it as a cliffhanger.
Okay. What did I say?
You were talking about how people need to go to therapy, right? They need to go to therapy and they need to sit on the couch. Right? I got some, not necessarily feedback, but I heard about a kind of controversial point, a hot take. And this is just me and you talking. No one else is listening. That's why I'm telling you this right now. Right?
Okay. Sure.
I was told that apparently some people have the mindset that men should not have women therapists. Right?
Really?
Right? We're not going to talk about it. Not going to talk about it. But we will be talking about that tomorrow.
That is interesting.
It is
Okay, I
super
will not
interesting, and
talk about it.
I was just about to tell you why. We'll hold it.
Okay,
Find out
all right.
tomorrow on Dragon Ball Z.
You're such a nerd.
Yeah.
Like, you are a nerd.
That's going to be a whole conversation. W's in the chat for Austin. Austin sent $5 to say thank you all immensely. This is beyond necessary. Austin, thank you for that $5 donation, guys. One last time.
And if I
One last time, really quick, guys. If anyone else, listen, we are all donations sent to the pay link, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Santana Speaks for You. Santana Speaks for You tonight will go to two amazing causes: Movember for men's mental health, and also RAIN. We're donating for survivors of DV. So anything that any of you guys send to any of my pay links, which the link tree is in bio, Santana Speaks for You, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, will go directly there. And also, I would be remiss if I did not call this out. If you are in crisis, if you need help, if you need support, please take a screenshot, write this down, whatever, like screen record. Get this information. If you're in crisis, you can always dial 988. If you're a veteran, you can select option 1. If you are in crisis with DV, there's a national DV hotline, 1-800-799-7233. RAIN.org has a chat function. Just in case you can't actually speak, you can actually utilize the chat function. And for all my friends that are part of the queer community, the Trevor Project, they have multiple ways to support you if you are in crisis, where you can actually go to their help page and you can call them. They have text features, and they also have an online chat feature. So please, if you need this information, screenshot it, write it down, whatever the case may be. But if you're in crisis and you need help, we're going to make sure you get help. It's going to be crazy tomorrow.
Yeah. That's very interesting. I'm gonna be thinking about that. Like that begs another question that I have in mind now.
Yeah,
about this.
no,
And
can't talk about it. Can't talk about
I won't talk about it.
Can't talk about it.
Oh, I got sent to Corgi. I have to say something.
No, you can't. This is
Okay,
late
I can't
nights.
say it.
I will say
Yes,
that
yeah.
we still have, let's see here. This is why I'm saying it's going to be crazy tomorrow, and we're going to have to figure this out. It's going to be chat. We're going to have to figure out how to manage tomorrow, because technically, as of tomorrow, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of our friends coming by tomorrow. 10 of our friends coming by tomorrow, but I promise you, we will make space on the panel. We got a plan to ensure that everyone in the community also gets to share their voice. Isn't that right, E?
Oh yes.
Holy
Yes,
smokes!
we
You
really
need to go
want
to bed, lady.
I am so. I was reading something. I was about to text something, but I was reading something. I was multitasking with my eyeballs. Okay. Yes. We really want to hear from the community. So please, make sure you request up tomorrow and get in on this conversation, because we really do want to hear from you. So please hit that request button, and we're definitely going to try to make space and make time for everyone.
Yep. Absolutely. All right.
And thank you, James. I am almost 60.
Any closing remarks for the evening?
Yeah, I think this was a fantastic conversation. Parents, please remember that it is not about you. It's not about you. It's about these kids. It really is. It is really about these children. This goes for your boys and your girls. It's about them. Please be their safe space where they can have these conversations open and freely. All right. If you want to raise productive citizens, if you want to raise children who know how to handle their emotions, all right, first learn how to handle yours. Also, when it comes to fragility and politics, we have to be able to spot it. We see it so prevalent in what we're dealing with right now today, and especially in the United States, but it's really global. It's all around the world. It's like this aggressiveness, this disdain. It's like this disdain for softness, basically. Like being soft, being open, being receptive to what's it called, Santana? Constructive criticism is just absolutely frowned upon. And so we have to be able to spot it, and we have to be able to know how to talk about it so that we can make a shift. Because if the generation that we're raising right now is against that, they can't thrive if they don't have anyone to fall into it, guys. All right. So yeah, let's just keep doing all of the good things, and keep having the conversations with our children, and for ourselves, let's keep trying to be better people so that we can raise even greater people. So that's it.
You need to get you some water and go to bed.
I'm tired, boss.
Let's get out
so
of here.
tired.
Yeah. This ain't your regular panel. Nah, we speak the truth. Late nights with Santana and Mama Jones watching. Better keep it clean. Let's go. Late nights truth in the convo. Everybody get a seat at the table. From the block to the books, we mindful. No screaming, just dreams, a Bible. One mic, one voice, build bridges from the heart.
We made it through the second night of this, and I feel like we set the stage perfectly for tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be digging into this more, but I really want to spend more time on helping hands. As a matter of fact, I think that's where I want to start tomorrow. I want to start there tomorrow because we need to address that first and foremost. So that's what we will do, but we are also going to get back to that question because it was a cliffhanger, right, E?
Great question. Yes, I agree. I am like,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah. All right,
Men
guys.
shouldn't. Can I say the question again?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna expound on it. I just want to say
No, go ahead.
men shouldn't have women therapists.
What? Wait till I tell you the logic. Anyway, guys, we're going to be here tomorrow, same bat time, same bat place. 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, 3 hours. Tomorrow is the last night of the All-Star panel. Fragile Men versus everybody, breaking down toxic masculinity and male fragility. Guys, thank you all for being here. Thank you for the likes, the taps, the gifts, the shares. Thank you for just joining the conversation. Come back tomorrow. I promise you it's going to be worth it. Thank you all. I love you all so much. And as